They're going to be exiting the tournament.
Yeah, he's going out quite quickly.
As a Claymore goes down.
This is possibly the biggest upset we've ever had in the tournament.
Particularly good trade.
Starting to go down now, but too little, too late.
The Sleipnir is MJTing himself out of the arena.
Yeah, as the Hugin goes down.
He just got volleyed through there.
They're just ripping them to shreds right now.
Starfleet is down.
Here you will find the bedraggled, good-for-nothing masses of Capsuleers, all vying for a chance to be taken seriously. Here you will find organisations that couldn't rub together more ISK than your average faction warfare corporation. You will find pilots who, when faced with adversity and true challenge, will likely turn and run faster than the big blue donut. You will find the hordes of F1 button-mashing pilots whose idea of PvP is nothing but being a minion who worships false gods they called their leaders. Not to mention those who don't feel comfortable unless they're in the biggest ships surrounded by 1,000 of their friends. Groups that think they're actually good at combat, yet howl around in packs. They only pick on the weak, oppressed, and vulnerable. Which piece of trash would bubble to the top of this steaming cauldron of mediocrity? This is the Alliance Tournament
Open Practice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Eventy AT17 Open Series. This is week 5. I'm Mythica Hawk, back with you once again after a couple of weeks of absence, but fear not, my absence has been hard carried by none other than Black Bart Pirate, who is with us today as well. Along with him, there is a veritable smorgasbord of talented casters from all around joining us today. We've got Sutonia, we've got the Basilisk, we've got Wingnut Cross dialing in all the way from Australia as he always does. Of course, we've got Black Bart Pirate. And behind the scenes, we have none other than General Stargazer, the man who pushes the buttons, and Biohazard on the stream deck. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's get into some matches, because that's what we're all here for. The first match today is going to be between the Center for Advanced Studies, usually known as Castabouts, if I'm not mistaken, going up against Test Alliance, Please Ignore. And the bans this week are quite something. This is the first week on the Opens, I believe, where we haven't had the Barghest hard banned out. So will we see Barghests? Will we see any other ships other than Barghests? Who the hell knows? So let's find out. Let's switch to the arena right now. And I think let's have Bart cast this one along with Sutonia. Two fantastic casters right there. So yeah, let's go.
Hello.
Hello, Bart. We're in the arena. We have
We are.
Cast as his test. What of test books? They brought an interesting on-demand setup here. They only have 6 pilots in the arena.
I think Test has got some inspiration from the team that kicked them out of the feeders and is bringing a triple golem versus what they expected, which was Barghests. So we have 3 golems, a vulture, and 2 Kirans. I'm guessing Test probably didn't have enough players to field a 10-man team today. But hey, we'll see how this goes. They did in fact lose to Barghests when they were, or lost to golems when they were flying Barghests, so maybe it'll work out in their favor.
Yeah, cast about aboard triple Barghests, as you mentioned, along with a Basilisk, Stork, 2 Steeples, a Hawk, Manticore, and a Vigil. The match is starting as the links go up.
Yes, and these are cruise golems, so they're going to do a lot of damage. I'm hoping Test is smart enough to go after the Barghests and not try and hit something smaller here, but not really feeling it for Test. We'll see what they do right off the bat. Moving quickly, making sure their Kirans don't get alphaed.
Yeah, those are rapid heavy Barghests, and they do have that Vigil to back them up with that TP. They're going to be able to apply it to pretty much everything they want, but it looks like they're going to try and burn down one of these golems here straight away.
Oh, and interesting, Test is actually going right after the Basilisk and doing a pretty good chunk of damage to it. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, yeah, he just got alphaed for 50% of his shields. I think this Basilisk is going to drop almost immediately for Center for Advanced Studies, but this Golem on the Test side is not holding at all, getting destroyed by Rapid Heavies.
Yeah, I think if they're able to bring down that Golem before their Barghests go on reload, I think this is probably over for Test, although they have lost their Basilisk, but it looks like Dana's Golem might go down in about 10 seconds as well. It all depends on if these Barghests end up going into a reload or not.
It's really hard to tell. The Golem is boosting for its life. It's bleeding structure on every single volley, but look at the damage on Eli Stance Barghest now. I think you're right. If those Rapid Heavies clip before the Golem dies, Test might actually win once again with an undermanned setup.
And it looks like that's what's happened, is the damage has dropped off on Dana. He's tanking again now, so they're going to have to wait for the reload, which is 35 seconds. And during that time, Eli Stan is going to have to survive without a Logi. It looks like he does have a XLSAB, so he's able to keep shield boosting up a bit, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to punch through this Golem before he goes down to the Golem cruise missile fire. And when there's only 2 Bargis left on the field, I'm not sure if they can break Dana, even once the 2 Bargis reload again.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I'm not sure if the Golem on the test side is XLASB fit or not. If it is, there's a chance that Center for Advanced Studies will be able to punch through it just as he's not able to rep. But this Bargist is going down. There's nothing that they can do to stop it. Remember, these Golems can hit the entire arena and then some. So Eli Stan is going to drop. It does look like Center for Advanced Studies is taking down the Kirans now, thinking maybe that will be the chance that they need. However, they lose a Bargist for the Kiran, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, it looks like their support, the Suples and the Hawk now are going after the Kirin, get rid of that, while the 2 Bargis try to go through the Golem, which seems like it's probably going to, hopefully it's going to work out for them. The 2 Kirins have been removed now. I'm not sure how much of the rep power that is actually taking off that Golem.
Yeah, it could be the difference. I mean, we'll see here. They do have something to note is Center for Advanced Studies does have a lot of DPS with those small ships. I think that they might need to actually start taking down some of these repair drones, and it does look like that's what they're doing. I'm seeing the Svipples and the Hawk taking out repair drones well. The Bargis are just doing massive DPS to this Golem, but again, we're seeing another Bargis die to cruise missiles, and Test Alliance's team does not have to worry about reloads here. It's kind of disgusting, actually.
Yeah, I think once if Deadlock dies, this is 100% over, because I don't think like 1 Bargis and 2 Suples and a Hawk and a Manticore are going to be able to break a solo Golem. Or sorry, break one of the Golems left with the DPS they have remaining.
Yeah, and so something I didn't notice this at first. Test has actually got remote energy transfers on their Golems, so they are. I'm pretty sure what they're doing is they are actually not XLASB fit either, and they're basically doing a Golem Tinker setup, which is keeping it alive as the second Bargist goes down.
Yeah, the Vulture has an energy transfer too, so in theory that Golem has the free energy transfers going into it, so they have like pretty much a shared cap pool, and that Golem should be able to perma boost. Along with the Golem's inherent bonus, where it gets a bonus to shield boost amount, I believe. Although he's taking a lot of damage all of a sudden. I'm not sure where this damage just came from. It just like suddenly started.
So all the rep drones have been killed now. So while these Bargis are dropping, I think those massive amount of rep drones was actually what was keeping it alive. So with the Bargis reload plus all of the small ships switching onto it, I mean, the 2 Svipples and the Hawk, like that's probably close to 1100, 1200 DPS. And I don't know, like this is still in play, which is weird to say, but if this Bargist is able to XLASB himself through just long enough for the second Golem to go down, this could actually still go the other way, because apparently without those rep drones, that was what was keeping them up. I thought it was their self-boosting, but no, it was all the shield maintenance bots.
Yeah, that was somewhat bizarre. It just like he went from being permatanking like 2 Bargists to just breaking in like 20-30 seconds. Unless he ran out of
you said
heat
that,
as well.
yeah. I think you might be right. It might have been the heat. And now that we're seeing it, it's he probably just didn't have enough heat left to keep himself going. And because the second Bargist is second Golem's having no issues, where Green Mob's Bargist is about to go down here. Might live for a little longer. I think might have gotten XLASB reload. Who knows? Nope. There we go. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, it's also possible that maybe he ended up like having to burn out a hardener or something, because he was like super low structure, right, at one point. So
yeah, that's man, Tinker Golems, by the way. Who expects it?
yeah, now I guess it's mostly just clean up the crew for the test side. I'm not sure 2 Suples, a Hawk, and a Manticore are able to break a Golem by itself.
I don't think so. Not with the remote energy transfers. Like it does really depend on how the ships are fit. Yeah, that's super weird. They're very slowly whittling down the other ships. I mean, the Sviple goes down, but you can see that those the application of the cruise missiles versus the small ships is not particularly great. But with no Logi, it doesn't really matter that much if they can't break this Golem.
Yeah, each golem does have a target painter too, with the golem having a similar target painter bonus to the vigil. So they are actually having 2 bonus target painters essentially. That does actually make those cruise missiles apply pretty well, even to these supers in defensive mode.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'm really curious to see these golems fit. I'm surprised that one that this many energy transfers is allowing them to perma boost, and I'm wondering if they're running an ancillary or not. Just really weird. I don't know if this necessarily works versus a lot of stuff, but hey, like I said, Test seems to learn. They lost in Bargus to golems, and this time they won with golems versus Bargus. So golem is the ultimate anti-Bargus comp. You're hearing it here first.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this setup would have done against the Vindicator comp or something. I think it might have not done so well, but it definitely worked against these Vargas comps.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering too if maybe this was the one time that you go after the Vulture instead, just get those links off grid. Because imagine if they didn't have the bonus shield links. Do you think these golems would have actually tanked? I'm not really sure myself, but I don't know. Regardless, it was a weird match. Not exactly. I guess I didn't really know what to expect going into this one way or another. But Test wins 90 or 100 to 34, which kind of sucks for castabouts. But hey, good job, Test, with your underman setups once again.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipple's? And we need thermal drone.
HiSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
Welcome back, guys, from that interesting match. Test Alliance there winning with an undermanned triple golem comp supported by Vulture and a couple of Kierans. Who would have thought it? Everyone was always saying, oh, the Barghest is going to be super overpowered in this tournament. Everyone's going to take the Barghest. Everyone's going to ban the Barghest. But there you go. First time the Barghest have been really fielded in the open practices, and boom, dicked on by a bunch of golems. Wingnut, talk to me about what a tinker is. Was that a tinker we just saw?
Kind of. It follows the same logic, but generally they throw tinkers into a logi ship of some description, including even T3s using as logi. But this time it was just kind of a shared pool capacitor, which kind of helps with a tinker setup. But I don't know. I'm not going to call that tinker, but it's pretty damn close. And honestly, I like the idea. I was going to say I called this kind of thing in in the chat a while back. You won't be able to find it, but I was like, yep, yeah, Tinker's Underman could potentially work with the resist nerf and everything, and it freaking worked, and I'm so happy.
Yeah, so one of the issues with Tinkers usually is that they're quite immobile, but we saw there cruise missile golems, Sutonia, just hitting across the arena. Is there any real sort of counter to that other than to just not die and then kill them first, or can you do something about the range of these ships?
I think any kind of comp that has a bit more sustain, especially a more tanky logistics, especially when you have it in things like battleships, heavy armor bots, that kind of thing. When you have 2 Vindicators plus an Armageddon or something, where you have a much bigger big end. Because the problem with Test, right, is they're completely immobile. So as soon as the other team's on top of them, they're dead to rights. And cruise missile golems, they can hit the entire arena, and they have pretty good application with the TPs on the golems. But they don't really do that high raw DPS, and they actually have a bit of a problem clearing out heavy rep bots. So I think just more of a tanky team would definitely cause issues to them.
Nice. Now you mentioned about the resist nerfs, or I think Wingnut mentioned it. So Tony, you're pretty down with the old meta and the rules and keeping up with Eve. As a member of the CSM, of course, you're kind of obliged to. Talk to me. What are these resist nerfs like? Why is it so important for ships like this?
Right. So in I believe in around April of last year, CCP reduced the resistances of all modules by about 20%. And since that basically nerfs essentially a lot of ships that had multiple hardeners, you receive less reps. And the way they scale, I don't want to get into like terrible maths here, but like if your resistances drop by 20%, then you actually receive like 25% less reps. So the big thing, right, is your tank or the incoming tank that you receive from a logistics ship has been reduced by about. It can be reduced up to 25%. It really depends. It's between like 8 and 20% on most ships.
And on the other side of the coin as well, damage was also buffed at close range, which suddenly means that compared to the last AT, we've got less resist and more damage. I honestly want to see more Tinkers just to see what that pops up as. I don't think Tinkers can really hold as much anymore.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if someone tries a genuine sort of style Tinker and see if they can make it work with all these buffs and nerfs appropriately. I mean, you were calling for a Tinker the other day, Wingnut. Why were you calling for a Tinker?
Exactly that. I wanted to see, like, obviously since the resist nerf has been brought in, DPS buff has been brought in, and the shield rush is so prevalent, I wanted to see how much a Tinker can actually tank now. I honestly believe that a Tinker can still work, and potentially even an Underman Tinker would work better because you get more big ships that can't get killed. I want to see that compared to like the rush to see like what's the limit? Where's this Tinker now not rep? Because I think it can't do it anymore. It's not the god comp it used to be. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember which Alliance tournament it was where it was just Tinkers were the number one thing. You had Bomber Tinkers and things like that. Where I believe that tournament more matches went to overtime, reverse tie-dye than probably any other tournament we've had. And I, for one, was glad to see the end of Tinkers and at least their dominance. But I think if it becomes usable in certain scenarios, then it becomes a viable comp again.
There is, however, a hilarious video on YouTube of Shadu saying, I think the Tengu's going to die. The Tengu's going to go down. I think the Tengu dies now. The Tengu's about to die. He's going to die for about 7 or 8 minutes straight. This Tengu's definitely going to die, boys. And it just doesn't. The Tengu's breaking.
Yeah, stalemate matches are like one of the worst to cast because when nothing is happening, you've got 10 minutes, potentially 15, of literally some bars kind of shrinking and growing on screen, and some explosions of missiles and things like that, and that's it. There's not very much positioning with Tinkers. You can get like target swap and stuff. That's probably the most exciting thing that you'll see happening as someone changes targets so a different bar starts getting smaller and bigger again. But they're not the most exciting thing to watch, are they, Tinkers?
I just wanted to say, will someone please think of the casters?
Yeah, exactly. Field exciting comps. Otherwise, we just have to spend 15 minutes potentially talking about how you're in a Tinker, and let's explain Tinkers to you again. So don't make us do that, please.
Yeah, I just want to ask for like some of like the top tier teams. I want to see like a show match of a full old school Tinker done with like the correct pilots versus like a standard rush now, just to see like what would pop up at the end.
Yeah, do you want to see if like the nerf to resists combined with the increase in DPS just tips over the edge?
And just see where it ends up. If the Tinker still wins, then sure, Tinkers need to be banned. But if the Tinker manages to lose that, it's like, oh, okay, we've actually found the limit.
Yeah, well, I mean, 3 Golems, 2 Kierans and a Vulture. That beats Barghests in Alliance Tournament 17, so remember that one. Test Alliance, please ignore that massive 6-man Alliance in EVE Online, fielding the Underman comp there, and winning the first match of the day, 100 points to 34 over Castabouts, who drop out of today because it is single elimination. The next match that we're going to have in an unforeseen amount of time is Forsaken Empire versus Fancy Pants Alliance. And the winner of that one will go forward to face Test Alliance. Please ignore. Maybe in the meantime, Test have found more pilots and can bring as many as 10. But that'll be interesting to see if they just try and ride through today in Golems and win everything. So why are Barghests always banned? Let's talk to the Basilisk. So you're not the Basilisk. Be quiet. You've had enough. You've had enough time winging up. Back in your box.
Yeah, go to sleep, Wingnut. Because they're cheap, basically, they're only 20 points compared to, I think, 23 for other faction battleships. And they're pretty versatile. I think you can fit them shield or armor. I'm not sure which will be more dominant or more prevalent. You can fit, obviously, a range of missile types, which I'll comment further on in a second. They're fast. They do good DPS. They've got lots of slots in general. They're just the best battleship at that cost. They're 20 or 9? No, they're 20, aren't they? Not 19. But yeah, still significantly cheaper than all the other faction battleships. And the scram range bonus is particularly useful as well, especially we haven't had the flagship list released yet. We haven't had flagship submissions yet. But I think the absolute maxed pimped abyssal scram with implants and stuff can get to like 43k on a Barghest. So if you're running some other flagship, if you're in a flagship matchup and we've got this awesome 3000 DPS flagship Vindicator, the Barghest just says, nope, you stay over there at 40 kilometers and do nothing. So I think the Barghest scram range could be pretty useful. But going back to comment more specifically on the choice of rapid heavy missiles in that match there, I think it was a little bit questionable, perhaps, because firstly, it's kind of a little bit coin flippy, to keep it short, because if you come up against a bunch of battleships and you can't break them on the first reload cycle, you probably can't break them on the second reload cycle. They're just going to rep back up and be fine again, and you're going to die in the meantime. And secondly, looking at the bans, the Loki's gone, the Sleipnir's gone, the Hyena's gone, the Jackdaw's gone. There's so many, like Fly Killer, the EOS is gone, so drone comps probably won't be as good. So there's all these things that rapid heavy comps are generally good into are not being brought. So the choice to bring rapid heavy Barghest specifically, when there's probably a higher risk of facing triple battleships, is, I don't know, I don't really like it. Maybe Torps would have fared better. I don't know.
Interesting thing as well. I'm pretty sure we saw a Barghest comp into a Sleipnir comp in the AT, or maybe before that, and it lost. So even though it's meant to beat the Sleipnir sort of comps, if you don't use your rapid heavies correctly, you still lose, because you'll just clip out at the wrong times.
So in terms of, let's talk briefly about flagships. So we're very close to the deadline for the teams to submit their flagships for Alliance Tournament 17. There is going to be 40 teams in the Alliance, in the tournament, which means there's 40 flagships have to be submitted. Technically you don't have to submit a flagship. You can just go without. But I don't know why you would do that.
Wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Some teams have done that in the past, either because they forgot or just didn't do it. But I imagine we're going to get 40 submissions this time around. What do you think the chances are that it is dominated by Barghests, Tonia?
I think there's a good chance that it is going to be dominated by Barghest for all the reasons that Bazza just mentioned about the Barghest being strong. I think there are a couple of other good contenders though, because like one of the things with Barghest is that it's pretty hard to get a good tank on one because it only has like 6 mid slots or 6 low slots. So it's actually like the flimsiest flagship you can pick, outside of the Mercurial. Like every other pirate battleship has 7 or 8 slots. So I actually think Scorpion Navy issue is another good contender because we've been seeing teams slip one of those in Sleipnir comps quite a lot, and it's a very tanky ship with 8 mid slots. So it benefits a lot by being able to have like PFX type shield booster, etc. Like more damage. I think it benefits a bit more than the Barghest, even though the Barghest does have that like insanely long scram range. Another good pick, I think, is maybe like a Vindicator, but you can't like break the rules and web, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But I'd say like Scorpion Navy issue and Barghest are going to be like the 2 most popular, I think.
I want to go out on a limb here and say that picking a Barg as a flagship, I don't think it's a good idea, because Bargs don't tend to do well solo, in my opinion. You need at least an extra Barg buddy. So bringing a flag Barg solo, it's just kind of like, you're not really doing much compared to what a single Scorp Navy could do. Or even a Macariel, as you said. Macariel goes zoom.
Macariel does go zoom. Bart, you're known as someone who likes to do what other people are not doing. A contrary person, some might say. If you had to pick a flagship, knowing that the Barghest is probably going to be one of the more popular ones, would you still do it, or would you pick something else?
I agree with Satonia. Wait, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to make something up. I'm pretty much saying like SNI or maybe Paladin. Those are my two choices that I'd personally make. I think people are sleeping on the Flag Marauders a little bit here, but of the Flag Marauders, like Paladin's probably the only one that really gets a huge benefit from all sorts of fun modules you can do. So, you know, the thing with Marauders in the Alliance tournament is you can't Bastion, so they're nowhere near as disgustingly brokenly overpowered as they are on TQ right now. But you could still flag a Paladin, you know, invest a little bit of extra ISK into it, and now you have like a 1400 DPS ship that also tanks really, really well in a tournament setting. But yeah, I'm on Setonia's side. We've seen a lot of really, really good SNI setups, even just in the opens alone, where they've been just kind of stomping the floor with people. So imagine an SNI, like single SNI setups, except it does, you know, 20% more damage and tanks 30% harder, and you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So SNI is the way to go, in my opinion. If you want to do armor, probably a Paladin. You know, maybe if you want to be unique Snowflake, you'd be a Vargur pilot. That would be super cool. I want to see a flag Vargur. No idea how well it would go, but I'd love to see it. So, hey, we'll see what happens with that, though, because I think teams are landing, right?
Yeah, they are. So I'm intrigued to continue this conversation on Marauders in the Alliance tournament, especially after we just saw those columns in the last match. But in the interest of pressing on, we'll come back to that. We'll put a pin in it, and we'll come back to talk about Marauders in a little while. Because yes, we do have teams in the field ready to commit honorable spaceship combat to each other. Wingnut, are you logged in yet?
I haven't got an account. I'll be there soon.
Big sad.
Big sad. So Wingnut is out for this one. So let's put the Basilisk in, and let's put him in straight with Setonia. So let's hand over to the arena and your two casters.
So, welcome to the arena. Here we are with Forsaken Empire against Fancy Pants Alliance, I believe it was. So, Forsaken Empire have brought a pure gunship comps. They brought these 2 Abaddons and 3 Oracles, backed up with the 3 Skybreakers, presumably for killing rep drones, a Rapier for application, and an Oneros. So, Tudor, do you want to just talk us through the other side?
Yeah, so Fancy Pants brought a single Barghest, 2 Nighthawks, a Basilisk, 2 Orphreses, a Caracal, 2 Crucifiers, and a Garma. So, interesting mix of Nighthawks with, you know, some modest ships and some E-War.
Yeah, so let's have a look at these comps just before we start. I haven't looked at the Nighthawks. I imagine the Abaddons are going to be pulse fit. They've walked in at 0. Everything else sort of at range, but the Barghest and Nighthawk team, the Fancy Pants Alliance team, have walked in all at range, so they're going to presumably just start applying straight away. I'm going to guess from that it's probably heavy missile Nighthawks, or else they'd want to be in up close. They got the
they look like hams to me.
Oh, I think okay. I haven't looked at them. A little bit questionable.
Yeah, and it's a rapid heavy Barghest.
Yeah, I would have expected that. That makes sense. And the match gets underway. So I think these Nighthawks are both burning in. The Orthreses hopefully won't do the same thing as the Orthreses did last week and actually manage to stay alive and not get caught by like a sacrilege or something. Thankfully, no sacrileges on the team here to get caught by, but that Rapier may be a problem for them, mowing them down. Immediately, the Oracle of Anaclavane starts taking chunks of damage. Clearly, you see these Oracles on the grid, you think, well, they're doing like 700 DPS, they got decent range, but they're not very tanky, so you try and clear those first thing.
Yeah, although these are the last time we've seen like the Abaddon comp, like we've seen like triple Abaddon, triple Oracle, like max DPS comp. Normally they've been backed up by some like cheap Tech 1 frigates, but this time we actually have an Neros on the side for Forsaken Empire, so he's actually lasting quite a while right now. And one of the Orphreses is actually dying pretty quickly. I guess he's like burnt in to try and kill this Oracle. Now he's webbed by the Rapier. Now he's just getting obliterated by Oracles.
Yeah, I think the Orthros is a really strong ship in general, but coming up against a Rapier makes it very, very difficult to play. As soon as you get webbed, the Oracles and Abaddons are just going to shoot you. It's a little bit of a risk for this comp, bringing Abaddons and Oracles in the same comp. If you come up against another armor comp and they've all got reactive armor hardens, you have no ability to damage swap. So they're going to resist a fair chunk of your damage, but they've realized they need to kill this Rapier. So the Rapier is now taking chunks. But, I mean, this Orthros is going to go down beforehand anyway, so, I mean, the webs from the Rapier have maybe already done their job.
Yeah, it makes it so hard for those Orphreses to do what they want, which is, you know, to charge in and start putting, like, Fury DPS onto the Anira, so onto the Oracles. So the Rapier has to go. It looks like the Basilisk is actually taking a lot of damage, too, and it's actually webbed by the Rapier, so it isn't going anywhere. And it's going to have 2 Abaddons and 3 Oracles chewing through, and it's gone.
And it's gone. Jesus Christ, this Rapier is absolutely worth its weight in gold so far. He's just webbing things down, and the oracles are saying, "Thank you for serving him up on a platter for me. I will gladly shoot him in the face."
And one thing that's really interesting, actually, I'm not sure if we've seen this too often, is that there's actually no link ships on the Forsaken Empire side. So they don't have any links. The Rapier just has stock Tech 2 webs, but they still reach out with heat to, around 52 kilometers, right? So it's still very hard for like these Orpheus and these Basilisks to play around this Rapier, and it looks like he's doing a fantastic job as the Vargas goes down.
Yeah, I quite like it in this comp, to be honest, because I mean it's a full max DPS application comp with 2 Abaddons, 3 Oracles, and the Rapier. So I mean you don't really need the tank from Armor Links. Obviously the web range would be helpful on the Rapier, but it doesn't increase web strength, only the range. So if you think you can get the Rapier in range anyway, then having the range link doesn't really help your application on that regard. I suppose you could put the webs on a little bit sooner, but you're still sort of relying on the Abaddons being able to get in range. So yeah, no links. It's sort of quite a rare choice, I think, but in this comp in particular, I quite like the decision. And now that Nighthawk goes down as well, these guys are just absolutely eating dirt right now. These 3 Oracles and 2 Abaddons just absolutely melting through everything.
Yeah, it's surprising how despite having no links, it looks like an Oracle might be going down now, but like how well the like Rapier and Oracle that got shot survived.
I mean, I think the Aneros can hold him at this point. It's just the Nighthawk and the Caracal that's going to do meaningful damage. As well, it's surprising because they brought 2 Crucifiers, which I don't think we see too often. They've probably got TDs. I think the Crucifier is probably a better choice than Sentinels. The Sentinel gets bonus newts, but they're going to be small, so if you burn into range, you're probably going to die. So just using Crucifiers for the TDs. But even against this Gunboat comp, the multiple TDs on the Crucifiers just wasn't enough. So yeah, I mean, I've wanted to see this comp for a little while, actually, this sort of pure gun-focused comp, because it goes back to what we were talking about before the match with the resist nerfs and the DPS buffs. I think it's going to be sort of just a DPS meta. Just bring as much DPS as you can and punch through shit before your opponent can. And it certainly worked out for Forsaken Empire here.
Yeah, these Crucifiers did have at least 1 GD, because I'm just looking at fancy UI, and the Rapier's getting guidance disrupted, so presumably they weren't like a max TD or anything. They probably bought like a balanced approach, because, Bargists are not banned. You always probably want to have some GDs.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, this Rapier managed to survive, an absolute linchpin for this team. I think it's probably sort of similar in some aspects, like a drone comp where the Hyena is like the linchpin, and if the Hyena dies, everything kind of falls apart, whereas in this comp, the Rapier, he webs everything down from range, and then the Gunboat starts shooting at whatever is webbed, and then they move on to the next target, and if the Rapier goes, then they have a great deal of difficulty in application, because they haven't got really any other control. They've got 3 Skybreakers, which might be web fit, might be tackle fit, but maybe not. So yeah, if the Rapier dies, they can't apply, and with that, final Crucifier goes down, and it's 100-0, a dominating win to Forsaken Empire. Good job.
Welcome back to the desk, guys. I'm going to just go straight to BBP here, because during the commercial, he had words to say about that previous match. So, Bart, the floor is yours.
Nothing but overwhelming positivity ever, obviously. I would never say anything horribly mean. But that being said, I'm pretty sure that Fancy Pants could have actually won that fairly easily. And the reason I say that is because if you saw, they almost broke a couple ships there with just the Barghest's DPS. So when I first saw their comp show up, I was like, okay, cool, this is interesting. It's a Barghest and Nighthawk kiting setup. This actually has a lot of potential DPS. Heavy missile Nighthawks hit pretty hard, Barghests hit pretty hard. Maybe they can do something with this. And then it turns out that they were actually, wait for it, Ham Nighthawks, which have a range of about 15 kilometers. So you saw the Nighthawks spend about 1.5 to 2 minutes of that match just like trying to even get on a target, where the rest of their team almost soloed down the Oracle, maybe almost could have beaten that Rapier. Like, imagine if instead of having Ham Nighthawks, which did literally nothing for 2 minutes, you had heavy missile Nighthawks that were applying, I don't off the top of my head, I want to say it's about 800 each. That Oracle dies right off the bat. And then you kill the second Oracle, and that Oracle dies right off the bat. And then suddenly you're holding. You could have also had all of your ships go after the Oneros. Like, that much heavy missiles, you could have killed the Oneros really easily. I think the Crucifiers was a pretty good choice. I think they were probably fit with 1 TD, 1 missile disruptor. I think the Barghest Nighthawk wasn't necessarily a bad setup, but using Ham Nighthawks in there and having them basically, like, you had 37 or 34 points of your fleet doing literally nothing for 2 minutes. That was a bad idea.
Interesting. So you mentioned Crucifiers, and I want to just talk about them a little bit and the power of E-War. Wingnut. So when we talk about like ships like the Crucifier bringing like GDs and tracking disruptors and so on, just like, why is that considered so powerful?
Because one ship can effectively turn off 2 or 3, and it can also be really cheap. The Crucifier is like, 3-4 points? Was it more now? I can't remember. But that's like really cheap, and with one ship you can make an Oracle worthless. And that's a lot more expensive than that ship. So it's the ability to essentially remove ships from the fight without having to kill them. And for really cheap prices. I mean, we've all had stories of the old Brave Griffin that just managed to win matches. It's the same situation with this.
Nice. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, Basis, you mentioned this in the match itself, is the decision to field 0 links. So links ships are usually considered pretty important in a tournament setup. So it's quite uncommon, I think, to bring a setup that has 0 of them. Can you just talk about that sort of decision and why links are going to be so powerful as well?
So links, obviously, there's 3 different types for each. How would I say? Type, I suppose. So there's 3 shield, 3 armor, and they're all pretty useful. I think a couple of the info ones are maybe less useful, but I mean, on armor and shield, you've got extra health, you've got extra resist, you've got extra rep cycles. On skirmish, you've got extra tackle range. You've got agility, speed, all these bonuses, and they're sort of very general buffs and generally pretty powerful. I think, like you said, we'll see most comps fielding some kind of variation, but in terms of that power, they're sort of more defensive in nature. They're not really offensive bonuses per se. I mean, the resists and the speed and the sig, etc. They all sort of help you mitigate damage and take less damage, but they're not really about particularly dealing more damage. I mean, you could maybe make an argument for the speed one that lets you rush in and get in range quicker, or the web range one. But generally, they're sort of defensive bonuses. So when you're fielding a very offensive comp like that, I feel like that comp was very, very, very focused, almost as far up the spectrum as you could be, of we're going to go all in on offense and don't really care about getting shot back, we just need to kill them faster. In that kind of situation, the links wouldn't really be particularly valuable, whereas some more balanced comps where you've got some kind of tanky ships and some kind of control and some kind of utility and stuff, and mitigating frigates and all that sort of stuff, a variety of links can be more beneficial.
Awesome, thank you. Now we are trying something a little bit different here with a second arena in play, so we might be able to up the cadence of these matches to get things moving a little bit quicker. So speaking of spectrums, coming up now we have Literally Triggered going up against Platinum Sensitivity. I see both sets of teams are in the arena, so we can probably toss the arena pretty much now. And Wingnut, are you logged in?
Yes, I am ready to
Excellent.
roll.
Let's have Wingnut and Bart this time do this match. So this is going to be Literally Trigger versus Platinum Sensitivity.
And I think we're already in looking at it, so that's good to see. Very interesting matches at the moment. We've got the triple bark setup from Platinum Sensitivity, and Literally Triggered, I think that's the comp they brought last week, effectively, right?
I'm pretty sure it's almost the exact same. They did really, really well with it, so that's good.
Very well.
I do feel like Literally Triggered is missing a certain ship, though, from their setup.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I'm just racking my brain to remember what it was.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm a
it's
bit-
a special one. Yeah, but yeah, the platinum sensitivity does have a triple barg and a basilisk, a bifrost, 3 caracals, a vigil, and a griffin, which is kind of interesting. So, shield griffins are not particularly tanky, but it's kind of an interesting idea.
I honestly like the idea of this comp. I suspect it has potential for sure. You got 3 characters to just delete the back line, and then you got the 3 bargers to. Well, they probably be able to break a Tempest fleet in one go, but they should be able to get it with 2 clips. But they should probably pick off the other ships first, like even the Guardian if they can. So I want to see what they do with this. This has got potential, but we also know that
I
Trigger can
think
fly
they
that
can
comp
kill
well.
the Guardian. I don't know if they're going to, but I'm pretty sure they have the ability to just like all in the Guardian with all of their ships. 3 rapid light caracals is a deceptively large amount of DPS because on paper it doesn't look like a lot, but it's full application. So we'll definitely see what they do. Platinum needs to kite really, really well here, though.
Yeah, I suspect I'm going to see the Oracle either primary the Bassi or one of the Caracals to try and remove that DPS or the Logi. I want to see what that Oracle does. He's probably one of the bigger long range ships. God, words. Nope, Bassi
Yeah,
is the target.
words are very hard. So jams are going out right now. Definitely seen a little bit of, actually a lot of damage on that Bassi. It looks like Platinum is trying to clear small ships, though. And look at that Confessor. He's dropping so fast here.
And they're so tanky. Like, Confessor's gonna be so tanky in defensive mode, but it doesn't matter when you got 3 characters shooting you. But actually, never mind. Look at that tank. He's now actually solidified perfectly. You switch
Yeah,
over
the
to defensive
Guardian's
mode,
not jammed yet. So until that Guardian does get jammed, it's not gonna. Actually, no, the Guardian just got jammed. So yeah, we'll probably see this Confessor go down here really quickly. Obviously, literally Triggered has realized that the Griffin is very dangerous and is trying to take it down right now. Very smart call on their part.
Again, a clutch jam right there to get rid of one of those ships. It is only one. Let's see what these characters go for next, but they're going for a Pontifex next, trying to get rid of the links. Again, good calls. I like this.
Very, very good target calling from the Platinum sensitivity side. But, like you said, that Basilisk is taking quite a bit of damage, needs to get away. And we're seeing tackles zooming towards it really fast right now. Very, very good screening potential on the Platinum sensitivity side, but I'm not really seeing it yet. And if this, if it looks like the Basilisk might actually be about to get rammed by a Tempest fleet issue right now, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, well, Bassi's not exactly the fastest ship in the world. Tempest fleets, being Mimitar, are actually surprisingly fast for their class.
Yeah, there's a grapple on the Basilisk. As the Tempest fleets get closer, that's going to become more and more effective. So that's, I don't know, there needs to be some screening on these Tempest fleet issues. We're finally seeing some webs come out from the Platinum sensitivity side on these Tempest fleets, but it looks like that Basilisk is well and truly tackled now, and I don't think it's going to last very long. There's 2 Tempest fleets on it. Once they sort of slow down and start applying like we're seeing right now, it's going to go down really quickly here.
And here is decision time for Platinum sensitivity. They are trying to go for these small ships, and it's not working anymore. They have to change their tactic now. With the Bassi going low, he's about to go down. Pick something bigger and kill it. Maybe the Oracle, maybe go for the Guardian, go for that swap. You got to make your decision, as there goes the Bassi.
Yeah, Platinum sensitivity should be off reload at this point. So, one of the things about these Bargus is you'll always see them take something down quickly and then just not do anything. I think they're kind of trying to jockey into position, get ready to go after something. Most of the damage coming out is not from the Bargus. They are finally reactivating right now, and it does look like they are actually going to be going after... Oh gosh, what is that ship? I mean, the Vengeance was being shot, but they're also putting damage onto the Guardian. So we're seeing some damage from one of the Bargus onto the Guardian. I don't know if all of them are doing that or he just target called wrong, but rep drones are already on the Guardian. Very quick reaction on the literally triggered side.
Very quick call from Platinum sensitivity. I was watching that Vengeance get closer and closer to a Barg, and the moment he tackled the Barg, all the characters switched to him and killed him immediately. Very good call to know what was coming. And see the second Vengeance now as well. They know they need to keep these Bargs away from the Tempest fleets. So very, very good, quick call right there to get rid of him. And the second one's surviving because Vengeances are tanky. Never mind, he's dead.
Yeah, it was surviving for a while. That was way longer than it had any right to live, so that's pretty good. One of the Bargus, Kentlar, is hard tackled right now, which is not good for him. He's not going to get away from either of these fleet Tempests, but yeah, I don't know. Literally Triggered is just, they're kind of mopping the floor. I know they've lost a lot of ships, but none of the ships that they've lost are particularly important to their team setup, now that they've got tackle on everything.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Kenta cannot leave. He's done. But if they can remove the rest of the tackle, the Skybreaker and the Sacrilege, these other Bargs could take all day running across the arena picking what they want. So they've got a moment here to do what they want with it. While they lose a Barg doing it, what are they doing? I think they're shooting... Okay, now they're shooting Tempest Fleet. Okay, they've changed onto Tempest Fleet. Going for the
Yeah,
headshot.
I don't know if that's too little too late. Like, they might have had an opportunity to take it down when they had the Griffin to jam the Guardian, but I think at this point, I mean, Platinum needs to try and headshot this Guardian or something. They did a little damage to it, but they never actually went for it for reals. And they do still have all these Caracals up, so they have a lot of small ship killing potential. Guardians are pretty much small ships, like, let's be real, they're 6 so small. But yeah, I don't know, this Bargus is living longer than I think it has any right to. It's still going to die, but, good job with the tank management on that.
Yeah, and honestly, Parkbank's doing amazing work. That Oracle's like one of the squishiest ships they could have in that comp, and it's still surviving, which is just disgusting. And the Bargo's pop, yeah, he's gone.
So I'm wondering if Platinum made a really smart call with the Oracle, because I believe it's a afterburning Oracle, which means it really doesn't have the ability to get into range and position, and so they kind of just ignored it. It might be like a bait Oracle fit or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some reason not to go after it. Bifrost does go down on the Platinum side, so now there are no links, which means these Bargus are actually slower than the Fleet Tempests, or potentially, depending on how the fits are. Not a good thing.
I was going to say as well, good piloting from Maddox in that Oracle. Before he shot the Bifrost, he managed to match transversal, and the very first shot he put into him put him straight through shields into armor, and then he got killed by, I believe, missiles from the sack. So good piloting there as well. So this is a really good comp with a really good set of pilots, and now the Caracals are getting picked off. Oof.
Yeah, and unfortunately for this Caracal, saw one of the classic Alliance tournament blunders where, people fly a little bit too close to the main tackle ships. So this Caracal actually was sitting really close to the Tempest fleet issues, and as soon as they took down their target, they just swapped over and grabbed it. Like, you might as well try and kite away, survive just a little bit longer. But Caracal does go down to 2 Tempest fleet issues, and finally, Platinum sensitivity is actually all in on this Guardian, and look how fast it's dropping. Like, they could have done this at any point over the last 5 minutes and probably taken it down.
For sure, yeah. Also, the Caracal, before he died, also took out the Pontifex as well, so the links will go down for Triggered as well. So if they can kill this Guardian, then run away, they have a very good chance to come away with it. So you need to watch out for the sack and the Skybreaker, but this could still work as the Guardian pops.
Yeah, the Guardian just dropped. It wasn't even tackled, just from target painters and 2 Bargus and 2 Caracals. Like, imagine if they had gone after it with 3 Bargus and 3 Caracals. This could have been so much different. Skybreaker immediately gets blown up, and Platinum is still in the game here. Like, all they have to do is stay away from those 2 Tempests and, maybe go after the Sacrilege or something. Like, that's the big fast tackle ship on the field still.
Even that, like, they can also have potential, maybe even feeding a Caracal to the Sacrilege to get him away from their big ships. Because now, at this point, the Sack is the only tackle ship. Look at the Oracle now going down too. This is flipping really well for Platinum. They might be able to get away with this.
Yeah, at some point, this is going to turn into battleships chasing battleships, I think, which is going to be really, really interesting here, as both of them should be about the same speed. The Caracal of... we're not going to say that one because I'm going to mispronounce it and get Twitch clipped, but very hard tackle. It's going to go down quite quickly here, but Platinum, they're just doing such a great job, like finally taking that Guardian down. Look how much the tables have turned just from finally primering the right target.
Yep, and now I think the Bargs, I believe, are on reload. Yep, they are. So now they seem to run for a little bit longer, then kill the Sack. That is your next primary. It's gotta go. Then after that, it's Tempest Fleets and whatever. That's its own situation. But honestly, I'm surprised this Caracal is still alive. Why is he still alive?
Oh, I got a great answer for that one. We are seeing the ultimate classic battleship piloting blunder where the MWDs were on and the movement was happening and the application is not. Finally, he goes down, but the Sacrilege is dead now, and we have 2 Tempest fleet issues versus 2 Bargus, a Vigil, and a Caracal. I think that Suryu got tackled, or he's neuted out, so he's not able to really get away at this point. And looks like JA is going after and trying to tackle down Mark Bridges. So Mark Bridges is a super elite pilot. Flown with him a couple times. Know a lot of people that say he's great. I think they're just going to run away from them. There is a little bit of grappling going on, but yeah, look at this Tempest fleet. It's going down so fast. Holy cow.
This is beautiful. Yes. I'm so glad I voted Platinum on this because we've seen them do really well before. This Tempest fleet's now going into low hull. He's starting to try rep, but it's just too late. Honestly, the Caracal might outlive him if he can just survive a bit longer.
Man, they're getting kited out. This is just the way things are sometimes. I mean, the Caracal does not make it, but I mean, it was within 2 seconds of each other. So, at this point, I don't think literally Triggered can win, even if they somehow take a Bargus down, just because they have to get rid of that Vigil and the second Bargus, or they have to get rid of the Vigil as well. And the Vigil's being very smart and staying very far away from everything.
Yeah, and also that Vigil is probably like the silent hero throughout this match, giving extra application when needed, and not dying in the middle of that fight, because obviously the Oracle is very dangerous. If he gets one good shot on you, if he traversal matches like we know he could do, you're gone. So Vigil's done amazing work here to just stay away. He's actually currently circling an MJD beacon. That's how cautious he's being. I like this guy. Yuto Milgram, you're an absolute legend, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart though. This could end up being down to points. I mean, at this point, it's 45 seconds left. I don't think Tempest Fleet Issue is able to take a Bargus down in 45 seconds, but you never know. And it does look like Mark Bridges is actually going to get caught again here, barely just by the grappler. But that is the thing. Tempest Fleets are weirdly enough faster than Bargists, which is not something you would expect.
Yes, and add to that as well is the Bargus long scram doesn't really help when a Tempest has a grapple on you. And when
it doesn't, and also
range,
like
you're in Tempest
momentum
gun range.
and stuff. Yeah, and the newts too. I mean, I'm pretty sure these are double newt Tempest Fleets because I haven't seen any smart bombs off of them. But that's really good piloting on Platinum Sensitivity's part. I think that they kind of screwed up in the beginning on target calling. Like if we saw how fast that guarding went down, but I don't know. I was ready to say, hey, look, guys, Bargus are bad and they feed every match, but Platinum Sensitivity pulling this off.
They outlasted. That's what they needed to do. Bravo. And that's the timer up, so I guess we'll be sending it back to the other boys.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Nah, he's got it. It'll be fine.
Oh shit.
Oh. Yeah, that's cool. I'm getting a point. You guys ready? Oh, there's a curse as well. Are you shitting me? You're welcome, Durst.
Welcome back to the booth. I'm Mythica Hawk, and you're watching EVE-NT, the #1 EVE stream running at this particular moment in time, featuring Alliance Tournament Open Practices. And we just saw a very exciting match, actually. It looked like it was going to be won by one team, and then it wasn't. It was won by the other team. It sort of flipped back and forth a little bit. And we saw some great piloting and perhaps some suspect piloting. But let's just highlight the Vigil pilot, Yuto Milgram, on the side of Platinum Sensitivity. He was providing a huge amount of utility, and he lasted obviously right to the end of the match. So that utility was available for his Bargate friends throughout the match. Basilisk, that Vigil surviving for so long and doing all that stuff, is that probably one of the reasons that it sort of helped Platinum Sensitivity get to the win at the end?
For sure think so. Because I think at the start of the match, literally Trigger didn't have much in the way of long-range application. They were sort of struggling to deal with the Griffin. But they everyone sees Griffin and starts foaming at the mouth, or fucking, hey, ACM, get it out. So the Oracle started shooting the Griffin, and after a little while, after a minute or so, they managed to clear him. But they ignored the Vigil, and with this comp with the 3 Bargus and the 2 Caracals, the Vigil has one job of just paint the primary, stay alive and paint the primary. Well, 2 jobs. I mean, it's whatever. And he did that the whole match, and he just seemed to get ignored. And the damage application from those paints on the Barghest and Caracal missiles is going to be enormous, especially on the small wing. So we saw the Vengeances, the Confessor, the Skybreaker, the Guardian, everything just got absolutely eviscerated by the missiles. And if that Oracle had maybe been able to deal with the Vigil, in the first minute, maybe shortly after dealing with the Griffin, then it might have gone a different way. But I feel like, yeah, the Vigil was definitely key.
Awesome. And the other thing that we saw Pax play a little bit of a role in that last match was EWAR in the sense of ECM jamming. Now, normally I would ask Misty about ECM. He's very, very familiar with it, intimately so. But he's not here today, so I cannot. However, Bart, I think as part of the NC team, you guys have been ECM dunked before. So, talk to me a little bit about ECM and how it works in the tournament format.
ECM is pretty cool. It's not quite as good as it has been in the past. We've seen ECM completely shut down teams, and nowadays it's a little bit harder. You just have to be a lot better with it now, because if you are jammed, you can target the ship jamming you. So bringing only one ECM ship, it's annoying. Like I think the Platinum jammed out the Guardian there, and that helped get the ball rolling a little bit on their side. But I think one ECM ship is it's like a gimmick where you say you have to take the ship down right off the bat because they're annoying, but also you don't really have a way to stop it from being taken down right off the bat, because you're never going to keep a Griffin up through pretty much anything unless the Griffin pilot's ridiculously good.
Awesome. Now, in sticking with our new, improved, faster cadence, we're ready to go to the next match already. So this is the last match of round 1 today, which will form the 4 teams that go to the semi-finals. And this one's going to be the Minions going up against Turbo Feed or Glory. It's happened so fast, but I've still managed to forget who was the casters in the last match. It was Wingnut and Bart before, so let's do Suetonia and the Basilisk for this one.
Yeah, so welcome back to the arena. A different arena to last time, as was mentioned. Hopped over to a different system. Quickly getting underway, 30 seconds. So let's just run through the teams. The Minions have brought... Wait, is it the Minions? It is the Minions, apologies. Have brought triple Barghest with a Zarmazd, a Magus, a Pontifex, a Heretic, a Vengeance, and 2 Skybreakers. So it's an interesting Barghest comp, one that we haven't really seen before. Suetonia?
Yeah, and Turbo Feed of Glory, they bought triple Barghest, Rapier, Stork, Bifrost, 2 Kirins, a Griffin, and a Garma. So more of a traditional Barghest comp, I would say.
Yeah, we got lots of Barghests on field, but 2 distinctly different flavors of Barghest here as the match does get underway. So let's just take a look at what's going on here. I'm imagining they're all going to be rapid heavy missile. So they're just going to volley and see if they can wipe something out, and then they're all probably going to go on reload at about the same time. We'll probably have a little period of calm before the storm once again starts. And this Barghest of Tiro Nari has been selected as the guy to take the missiles to the face for Turbo Feed or Glory.
Yeah, and Turbo Feed are going for that Magus, and if that Magus goes down, then potentially removing the links from their side, or at least one of the link ships, they still have a Ponti, be pretty big. Looks like the damage is going onto the Zarmazd now too.
Yeah, the Zarmazd and the Magus, I mean, the Magus is painted, so the Griffin just goes down. As we were talking about, the Griffin just draws pure aggro. You see the Griffin and you start frothing at the mouth, got to kill that thing, and immediately he goes down. So, I mean, very limited impact on this match from the Griffin at the start there.
Yeah, well, potentially he did waste the time of their Barghest, taking them off through Nari, who is holding at about half shields. I assume it looks like he's probably gonna live to a reload because there really isn't any damage aside from the Barghests. The Skybreakers are more support. The Vengeance is probably support as well, and the Heretic, I believe it does have light missile launchers. In case people are wondering why you would bring an Interdictor to the... It actually has rocket launchers, which is kind of interesting, so it's more of a brawling Heretic.
But anyway, it doesn't actually look like this Barghest... Well, I mean, he might, but it's going to be significantly worse for wear if he does survive. He's in low armor, about to start entering Hull, so I mean, these other Barghests... God, this is going to get confusing with all the Barghests. These other Barghests still not on reload, although I think they might... Are they... He's picking back shields again. Have they just gone on reload? So, I mean, another one of those, another round 2, and he'll not be long for this world. But, I mean, for now, he seems to be picking back up shield. The Kirins are saying, quick, wrap them up before they get their missiles back in their launchers again. But, another one of those, and he'll be done for.
I mean, one thing that's worth noticing as well is that there's hardly any shield bots on the Blueberry Pancake team, which is Turbo Feed of Glory. They've only just put some more ones out now, so I wasn't paying attention. Maybe they got cleared off by smart bombs, but there's very few. There was very few rep bots out for them. We're seeing a few more drones come out now, but at one point there was no drones on the field for their side. So I believe they must have got smart bombed off by something. And Karas is Magus there though, holding in 1% structure, and it's gone.
But aside from that, the Minions Barghest clearly reloaded, back in full operational weaponry and melting through Tironari, who does finally go down on the second volley. So now they've got, 3/4 of that clip left to decide what else are we going to kill. Maybe they shoot the Rapier. I mean, I don't think they can go through another. They are choosing to go through another Barghest. So, I mean, that's a bit of a questionable decision for me. They know how long it's going to take to kill the Barghest. It's a known entity. They've already killed one, and it took 2 whole, 1 and a bit volleys. I suppose they'll be able to get it somewhere through the 3rd reload cycle. But, I mean, sort of committing at least a minute of the match in the future to killing this Barghest. You know you can't get him straight away, so you're sort of gambling a little bit, saying, well, can we survive for this next minute without losing anything? They haven't lost anything else apart from the Magus so far.
Yeah, there's no rep bots on him this time around, though, so maybe he will drop a lot faster than the first initial Barghest. I think it really depends if they can go through or not. We're going to see the impact that Magus is going to have, the Magus death in a second too, when like the presumably had like some kind of armor links. When they get removed, the minions team will get a bit more squishy. It looks like Kanika is kind of holding now a little bit. It looks like the Barghest aren't shooting him anymore, and it's just DPS from the Heretic that's on him and the drones.
Yeah, they certainly got closer than last time with him now sitting at about 55% hull, but again, he's still not dead, so, I mean, as I said, they're going to have to wait for another reload to take him down. They're just sort of whittling through him, but this Kirin now of Leonardo goes down instantly, so, yeah, I mean, with only one Kirin left, they definitely can't tank much longer. I'm not sure how much they'll even be able to rep up this Barghest, so they might, in fact, be able to kill him and something else on the next reload.
Yeah, this Kirin is just getting like streaked by the support and like Skybreaker bounces. It's got a ton of drones like shooting it too. So the Barghest is gone. I think they're gonna lose the Kirin, and then this next Barghest is definitely gonna die. I think it's probably over at this point, right? Like the only DPS chips they have on the field is the Barghest and the Anagama, and maybe whatever the Rapier has.
Yeah, but that's really interesting in itself, because we've seen two different flavors of Barghest comps here, and the one with, would you believe it, the Zarmaz, the armor Barghest with Pontifex, Magus, and some Skybreakers, has actually come out on top here with basically minimal damage at all. They only lost the Magus for the links, but we offered maligned the Zarmaz, sorry, for just not being a good choice, but here it seems to have worked excellently for them.
Yeah, one thing that's really interesting is the support for the minion side has just survived so well. When you consider that the Turbofeed team had that Rapier, which you'd expect would just augment the damage of the Barghest like so heavily, with the webs and the presumably a TP too. But we saw like just the Magus die, and the Magus even caught reps. I think the first time they went for him.
One thing I am noticing is this support wing of the minions just seem to be sort of hugging the Zarmaz. So we talked about the Zarmaz in previous weeks and said one of the limitations of it is it has that one Triglavian rep, but it has very short rep range on all the other reps it can fit. But so I mean, if you're shooting frigates and you can't get your Logi in range, then they're kind of screwed. But the Skybreakers obviously have range with their gun. The Ponti has range on its links, so those little support wing ships are actually quite happy to just float around the Zarmaz and stay within his rep range, and it sort of frees him up to use reps on them, stop them getting volleyed, and keep his muted active Triglavian rep for the Barghest should they need it, which, I mean, clearly they don't anymore, with just the Rapier, the Stalk, and the Garma left to die.
Yeah, the other weird choice is I think the Rocket Heretic. Like when we've seen interdictors used in the past, normally in like Flykiller kind of comps, or just as like a cheap light missile ship, especially the Flycatcher with the recent buffs that it had. It has like pretty strong light missiles with a velocity bonus, and it also has like a shield HP bonus, so it's not as vulnerable as you would expect.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're just waiting for this Stalk and Garma to die now. Obviously, no chance of them for surviving. But yeah, I commend the minions for their decision making here. I questioned it at the start of the match when they fired that volley into the first Barghest, and it didn't quite die. He got down to low armor, and then they waited and they reloaded and they just chilled for a little bit, and then they fired their second volley into the Barghest. And the thing about that is it may be slow progress, but at least it's progress. At least you're going to get something at the end of it. It's a known quantity, and hats off to them. They said, well, we know we're going to get something for this volley. We know we're going to get a result out of it. If we can just hold on for a minute and make sure they get nothing, then we're good to go. And yeah, worked out for them. Good job.
Yeah, so we'll throw it back to Ithaca in the booth.
what an awesome match there. We had Armor Bargs versus Shield Barguests. So an absolute smorgasbord. It felt like we were in the International House of Pancakes for a while there. We had Cherry Barguests and we had the Blueberry Barguests as well, all just doing their thing. But Armor versus Shield, I think that's the first time in this Opens we've seen something like that go on. And the Armor Barguests, Armor AB Barguests, bringing a Zarmazad and still taking a pretty convincing win. I want to put down to this chunky, girthy control bar there. Wingnut, we've got to be quick in this one, but like break down a little bit of that match for me. Like pick something interesting.
They, as you just said, Armor AB Bargs. Honestly, the Zarm, clutch call there, because if they knew they're versing Bargs, all they have to do is survive the first clip, and that Zarm will make sure that ship never dies. Honestly, that is like the moment that Zarms are perfect. Because if you can just make them wait until through their reload to try and shoot you again, you'll never break through the Zarm again. You have to pick another ship and do it all over again. It's a Stonewall. I love it.
Awesome. And the other thing I wanted to quickly mention was we saw the Edencom ships on the minion side there looked like they were using their Vortron projectors in order to clear the rep bots from around the other side. That's a pretty good use of these ships. How come we don't see that as often, Sutonia?
Well, I think we do see it. It's just very often the Skybreakers are used in a different role, and they're not always in range to like shoot a primary target that has a bunch of rep bots on it. But yeah, I think at least the Skybreakers, or maybe it was Small Bombs, I'm not sure, but they were so effective in this match because there was like no drones on the Turbo Feed Glory side after about like 30 seconds into the match. So yeah, I mean it's very effective, I think. So
Awesome.
that's where the Skybreakers shine.
Well, perhaps we will see some more of them as we go to the next match already. It's Test Alliance Please Ignore versus Forsaken Empire. The big question is, has Test Alliance found more pilots, or are they bringing on-demand comp once again? Let's go to the arena. This time it's going to be Tony and the Basilisk.
So, welcome back to the arena with me and Sutonia once again, a different arena yet again. Here with Test against Forsaken Empire. So Test bring in their 3 golems again. They've switched up a little bit this time. 3 golems, 2 Kirins, but they've traded the Vulture for an Onyx and a Stork. Sutonia, what do you make of Forsaken Empire?
Yeah, so Forsaken Empire have bought a pretty interesting comp too. Bargus, Basilisk, 2 Drake Navy issues, a Rapier, an Orpheus, a Stork, 2 Griffins, and a Skybreaker. So their take on the Bargus is you just bring 1 with Nighthawk, with Drake Navy issues, and throw in 2 Griffins and a Rapier, so there's a bunch of E-War, a bunch of webs.
Yeah, so to nobody's surprise, today is in fact Barguest Day. Barguests left, right, and centre. As we saw 6 in that last match. Just the one in this one, Test choosing the 3 golems again that they brought in their first match. So obviously going to be a little bit tankier than the Barguests. I'm going to assume they're cruise golems again. So a little bit more sort of projection. But yeah, I mean, Barguests flavor of the month apparently. Kirin just immediately goes down of Flip.
Yeah, Kirin is gone. We're seeing some energy transfer going to the Basilisk from the Barguest. Test were shooting this Basilisk, but it looks like he's doing okay now. It looks like they're swapping over to the Griffins now. The Griffins are probably causing problems to the Golem as they Test lose the second Kirin. So no more remote reps now for the Test side. But I assume the Golems at least have a pretty powerful self-tank. Although the Stork and the Onyx are probably gonna be not long for this world.
Yeah, the Stork and Onyx are left out in the dark here. I mean, this is good use of the Rapier here from Forsaken Empire. They've said, well, I mean, the Golems are happy to just sit still. They don't really care about the Rapier, so let's just use those webs and paints to just wipe this Kirin and Stork off the face of the server. And yeah, they're just immediately gone within the first minute of the match. And now this Basilisk of Keeps is taking chunks of damage, but it's only 3 Cruise Golems and an Onyx, so there's not a huge amount of control or application. He does seem to be taking chunks, actually. As I say that, cast a curse, he will now die, and then of course, now I'm saying he's dying, he's going to rep back to life.
Yeah, he does have a bunch of shield bots on him, and he is, presumably he does have an XISB, and he does have a energy transfer from that Barguest, so he might be able to get a few charges off on his capacitor.
No, he seems to actually be getting cap transferred by the Drake Navy issues, and the Orthrus and the Rapier. Everything seems to be cap transferring that Basilisk, but he does in fact go down anyway. Oh, that's weird. That's very interesting.
Oh, I thought this would be an easy cleanup for Forsaken Empire, but now it's going to be a tough one. Can they? Let's see. It looks like the Onyx is holding about half shields. I'm not sure if there's any reason for them to kill the Onyx. I think all of their DPS is long range, right? So they don't really have to clear out that like 20-kilometer scram. And I'm not sure the Onyx is really bringing much in the way of DPS. Presumably it is. I think it's rapid light, so those don't actually have a great range on the Onyx because it doesn't get a range bonus to those specifically.
Yeah, I mean, now this is just going to be a sort of race against a sort of stat stick DPS race, because these three golems are obviously just going to be pumping out DPS this whole time. They're pumping out reps. They're anchored up on top of each other with cap transfers and stuff, so they're going to be tough nuts to crack. So it's just a matter of, can they kill, the Barghest, the Drake Navies, and sort of alleviate some of this damage beforehand. But like I mentioned, all those cap transfers going on for Basilisk, these are very specific fits. The Drake Navy issues with the cap transfers, the Orthrus and Rapier with the cap transfers, those are specific fits. So they were clearly sort of anticipating playing around that aspect of those fits, and with the Basilisk just gone, those slots are obviously pretty much useless now.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that they might have like XSBs on the Drake Navy or on the Barghest where it could help a little bit. Griffin getting cleaned up now. Probably going to see Enoch from since Griffin gone now too. So this is going to be a tough match, I think. We're seeing all of the golems at about the same hit points, which is kind of strange. I guess that's probably just maybe the Skybreaker clearing drones and just doing AoE DPS to everything.
Yeah, the golems don't really seem to be caring too much right now. They're just kind of chilling. And honestly, I'm not sure if Forsaken Empire have enough damage here left to break them. I mean, as I say that, Soldaria starts taking chunks. I guess they might have been clearing rep bots with the Drake Navies and with the Rapier and stuff, but Soldaria is now clearly the primary. He goes into low shield, but he starts charging back up again. So, I mean, these cap transfers, it's obviously hard for us to judge how effective it's being and how long he can tank, how much cap he has left, how much heat he's got left. But for the time being, he's holding, and Windjackal is taking damage at about the same rate. He's also taking chunks as he goes into armor now.
Yeah, if they lose Windjackal, it's going to be really tough to break this golem. I think the reason why is the Stalk links have probably expired now because it died like about 2 minutes ago. So the golems don't have the benefit of the links anymore, so they don't have quite the active tank. Especially that we saw in the previous match where the Vulture was still alive. But it looks like Windjackal's Barghest just can't survive under pre-cruise golems, and it's gone. So we're going to have to. I already have the Orthrus and 2 Drake Navies left for DPS, really, and whatever the Rapier can add with rapid lights here and there.
Yeah, and of course these golems, like I said, they're all cap transferring each other. They're going to be cap transferring Soldarius to try and allow his booster to keep running. And as soon as DPS gets taken off the field and the Barghest goes down, he's going to be able to maybe tank a bit more and maybe start repping back up again. Rather than taking chunks of damage, you'll start regenerating slowly. And once you reach that point, it's sort of the point of no return. If you can't whittle him down, then he's going to start repping back up, and obviously, he's eventually going to reach full health again. So yeah, I mean, massive credit to Test. Last week bringing 8 players and beating the 10-man Ride My Turtle comp. This week bringing 6 players in the first match.
The Orthrus is going out the arena. The Orthrus is gone. It's boundary validated.
This is incredible. Test, just wow. Massive props to Test here, not just for their performance last week, but their performance this week as well. They're taking these undermanned comps and making them look good. God damn, they're good.
Yeah, they're actually going to make it into the final here, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I suppose on the other hand, there is the aspect of, I mean, they've brought both, fairly similar comps with the triple golem both games, so maybe they'll be a little bit telegraphed for their final match in the final. But of course, they could again switch it up and bring the double Lashak undermanned comp they brought last week. I mean, they've clearly got practice.
They can't because the Shaq's banned.
Oh, of course. Okay, well, they are. How silly of me to forget that. Well, yeah, they can't do that then. So, I mean, maybe they'll have to they'll be forced to bring the golems, or they'll have to find some other fancy undermanned comp. But yeah, this is very impressive.
I mean, they could do paladins, I guess, if a Salmad or something. There isn't really much options.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. This is very exciting.
Yeah, looks like this is cleanup mode for Test now. I believe Windjackal, the captain of the other team, has put GF in local, so I guess they've decided that the match is over.
Yeah, so as soon as that Barghest went down, they didn't have enough damage to break through the active tank of these golems anymore. They brought the Kirins, they brought the Stalk, but I mean, once they cleared enough damage, they were sort of irrelevant. These 3 golems just packed so much damage and so much tank in and of themselves that everything else is sort of irrelevant a little bit at that point. I just want to ask you what you think of that sort of. It was kind of a pseudo tinker on the Basilisk, I guess, with the with all the remote capacitors coming from the Drake Navies and the Rapier, and of course the Orthrus as well. What do you think of that? Do you think that could be a viable strat?
Yeah, it definitely seems like it could be a powerful, especially kiting comp, because these were like, you know, heavy missile Nighthawks. With a Barghest, you got a Rapier, so it's like pretty hard for any team, like especially rush comps, to get on top of them. It's just unfortunate they went against golems that have cruise missiles, and it looks like, you know, the cruise missiles just do enough DPS that the Basilisk can't hold under regular active reps. What I think is interesting. What do you think? What do you think about swapping the Vulture out for an Onyx and a Stork? Like, what do you think? What is the Onyx really bringing here? Aside from, like, you know, potentially having a 20 clump to scram to maybe like stop a Vindies getting on top of the golems or something.
Honestly, I think I preferred the Vulture variation. Maybe they just had an 8th guy turn up and say, well, you know, let's work something else so we can still get links. So let's stick one of them in a Stork and the other one in a Hick. But yeah, I think I actually preferred the 7-man variation with the Vulture, because nobody wants to shoot a Vulture. They're so tanky. Their links are very strong, stronger than the Stork. And obviously with these self-sufficient golems, ensuring that you get that link duration for as much of the match as possible is of utmost importance. And yeah, we saw the Stork just absolutely melt at the start of this match. So yeah, I think the Vulture would have been a better setup here, personally.
And the match is officially over now, with the winner being Test Alliance Musical. We'll see them in the final. We'll still see Forsaken Empire again in the bronze match for 3rd place. So we'll throw it back to the studio.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or Spipples, and we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
Test Alliance, please ignore finding a whole 7th person there and still bringing a Golem Tinker comp thing and still dominating with it, proving basically, if they can do it once more in the final, that it is the #1 Apex comp for this entire tournament. I mean, Wingnut, what the hell? Why is this happening? How are they getting away with this?
I'm loving it so much. This is my dream come true. It's exactly what I was asking for. We saw essentially 2 Tinkers fighting it out, and instead of it being the boring just slug match, it was actually an interesting match. Oh my god, and the undermanned Tinker. Oh, Test, you probably haven't seen what I've been writing, but I love you guys. I love you so much. It's perfect. I can't say anything. I'm too excited. I'm sorry.
Basilisk, you mentioned the swap from Vulture to the Onyx and the Stork, and you weren't a fan of that. Do you think that having that 7th person there is worth the downgrade in links, or do you think the links from that Vulture are just that strong that having that 7th body is just negated?
I think it's not so much the strength of the links as it is just the unattractiveness of the target. If you see a Stork, you know you can kill it. If you see a Vulture, you probably think it's going to take you a couple minutes to whittle through, so it's maybe not worth trying. So I think there's sort of, I mean, as with every ship in the tournament scene, there's always a sort of an aspect of, you look at it and everyone has their sort of conceptions and ideas of how tanky it's going to be and what kind of value it brings. And I think the Vulture is something where most people look at and go, you know, it's probably pretty hard to kill. And it's the kind of thing you don't really want to primary straight away. So I think having the Vulture there and having those links for the golems for longer is pretty important.
Yeah, well, I mean, they still managed to win with it, showing that they're not just a one-trick pony, they are a 2-trick pony. One of them has a Vulture, one of them has an Onyx. Now, it's time to go to our next match, which is Platinum Sensitivity versus the Minions. And this will to be deciding who goes forward to face Test Alliance and their infamous golems in the final. So make sure you stick around for that, because that should be very exciting. potentially. So let's hand this one over to Black Bart Pirate and Wingnut.
All right, we have Bargus versus Bargus again. Hello, Wingnut. How are you? I'm sorry there are no Tinkers for you this time.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy with these after-burning armor barks, if that's what they are again. I really hope they are.
I'm guessing they brought the same thing. This might be their super elite Bargus counters to bring armor Bargus, but Platinum Sensitivity is bringing the triple Bargus Basilisk Bifrost double or triple Caracal Vigil Griffin setup again, which we saw them win barely, but with very good piloting. And Minions is bringing their armor Bargus setup. So, we'll see. We've seen Minions win already against Bargus.
That's going to be a question for Platinum is like, what do? They know what this comp is likely able to do and that it can resist them. What do you primary first? I honestly want to see all these Caracals. Sure. I honestly want to see all the Caracals and the Bargs just go for a Barg straight off the bat with all of their missiles. Griffin goes pop. That didn't take long.
The Griffin aggro is real. It's like it's the red cloth in front of the bull right there, and it actually looks like the Minions is going right after that Basilisk off the bat. That's pretty strong. Seen a little bit of damage split from the Platinum Sensitivity side, so we'll see. Very smart against his arm since he has to switch around, and that's not good.
Yep, and as always with Bassies, they have essentially a set period on life. Once they run out of ancillary charges, they're effectively dead. And I'm not seeing any Tinker-style energy transfer, so he's legit on his own. So watching the shield go down, you can kind of count the cycles yourselves for those at home. 8 cycles, then he's out.
I do hate to say it, but I think Minions might have gotten baited a little bit because I'm pretty sure this is an afterburning Basilisk and there are no paints or targets on him. So the Basilisk is holding really, really easily, and I believe Minions is about to clip here. They need to actually swap targets and go for something else. We're seeing some damage on the Caracal, but I don't know if they have enough ammo left to take it down in this first volley.
And they're trying for the Barg headshot here as well. Sorry, the Zarm headshot, sorry. They're going for that Zarm headshot. Come on, you can do it.
So not only are they going after the Zarm, Platinum Sensitivity has been very smart, and they've actually rammed the Zarm, so they have a lot of newts on them, and there's a lot of smart bombs from these Bargus taking all the rep drones off. So this Zarm is probably going to go down, as all the rep drones have been destroyed, except for one.
See, while I like this Zarm Bargus setup, it is more better as the mental game than actually being as effective comp, in my opinion. It's just because you don't expect to see afterburning Bargs with a Zarm, armor Bargs. And now that this team knows what they're versing, you go for the Zarm. You kill the Zarm or a Barg immediately. And that's what they're going for. And they're on it right now. They can remove all the rep drones. They're nuding it out. They're smarting off other stuff. This is a really good play, in my opinion.
Yeah, all 3 Bargus are actually right on top of it, which is really, really funny to look at. They are clipping right now, so they're not really doing damage, but I'm pretty sure this arm's going to get alphaed in a couple seconds here as the Bargs have reloaded. Yep, there we go.
Here it comes. Here it comes. The pancake conga line onto the Zarm, and it's dead. And the Bassie's still alive. The Bassie's just not caring anymore. So now the Bassie can come back into this fight and start repping up his boys. This has turned very well for Platinum here. Again, they've made another match turn for them.
Yeah, and they actually have the Bargus conga line moving on top of Zarda right here. So, Platinum's being really, really just kind of, I don't know. I hate the word cheeky because I'm culturally appropriating you guys right now, but that's really funny. They're ramming in with their kiting Bargus and just doing stupid amounts of work. We are seeing Oset taking a lot of damage, but the Basilisk on Platinum Sensitivity side is still up. It is nuded, so it's probably having a little bit of trouble keeping shield reps going, but even still, shield reps at all are so powerful.
Exactly that, yeah. And honestly, I think this is the problem with this armor Barg setup is you've lost so much damage, and if you split your damage and your tank together, what are you doing with the mid slots? I'm honestly curious. Are they going Scram Web? Are they got painters? I think one's got a painter.
I think they're doing Scram Web. I have no idea. It could be application too. That's what I would do. A bunch of application, but it wasn't enough to break the Bargus. I will say both of these Bargus are about to go down at about the same time, unless FGI can get some really serious reps off at the last second here. It's kind of crazy how much damage they're still putting out as armor Bargists.
Oh yeah, that's Rapids for you though, mate. Rapids always put out a good amount of DPS. As the first bar goes down, we're going to see many pancakes on this field.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're both on reload right now. So Platinum's Basilisk is hard tackled though. Look at this. Yeah. He's really hard tackled down.
I was like, where's it? He hasn't repped Osat in a while now, and I figured out why. It's because he's being neutered by 3 ships at once.
Which
life
I
of
guess
a
that's a
pilot.
solution, right? Like, hey, we can't take down your Basilisk because it's afterburning, we'll just newt it out so it doesn't do anything. So,
Yeah.
That being said,
Yeah,
I mean, rapid heavy reloads are bad, and we're seeing Platinum's Bargus barely hold on right now.
Oh, hold on. I think I just saw a small rep on our sat, so I think the Bassie's trying his best. I think he waited with his cap booster. Yep, got 2 cycles on our sat.
Got
and
like
our
2
sat
cycles,
unfortunately died.
still died. That's okay
Hey,
though. That
2
helps.
free cycles, yeah. And meanwhile, the backline fight, the second Caracal has also gone down at some point, and they're picking up the small ship still. The second Skybreaker is now down to hull. The second Bassie's now down. This is honestly really awesome to watch. This is such chaos.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I think Platinum was very smart in the way that they played this, as opposed to a lot of the other teams. They went after the backline first, and they rammed with their Bargus, and that's how you fly them. Stop kiting, just run in there and smart bomb things.
Again, like I said, this armor AB Bargus comp, I think it's more of a mental comp than actually a functionally, like, statistically good comp. It's just because you don't expect it. But now that everyone knows what it is, you go for the Zarm, or you go for a Barg off the bat and just kill it. You don't take your time on the backline. So honestly, I honestly think this comp is not it's not as good as it seems, and charging with Bargs probably still isn't a good idea.
So I'm not entirely sure I agree with that. I think what actually got them was that the minions tried to primary down a Basilisk that was Afterburner fit. And the problem with the minion setup, and I think this is something they can remedy really easily since they have so many mid slots on those Bargus, is they didn't really have any target painters or tackle. So, I'm not sure if that was Platinum sensitivity just screening really well. I don't really think so because Platinum doesn't have a lot of screen. I think if the minions had tried to run in there and get scrams off on that Basilisk and get webs off on the Basilisk or painted it up, they might have taken it down. But they wasted their entire first clip on a Basilisk where Platinum sensitivity used theirs to kill things.
I don't know. It's maybe got potential for sure, but I don't see potential against other bar comps who don't know what they're versing. Honestly, I think the Caracals actually were the thing that flipped all of this. That's like 400 500 DPS per Caracal, added to the Bargs as well. You can rip through the Zarm or even a Barg at your own desire. I don't think the comp will work against a typical Shield Rush.
No, I don't think so either. Especially if you got Shield Rushed with armor Bargs, that'd be a real short run. But Shield Rush is banned out, relatively speaking. We need some Nighthawk like Broadsword or something. We haven't seen it. I think this has been the weekend of the Bargist, which is sort of what I was expecting and hyped for. Platinum sensitivity is cleaning everything up at this point. There's been a couple boundaries on the minion side just to try and get it over with a little bit faster. I'm not sure why this guy isn't going down. Probably, it's definitely a reload right now, and he did pop his ADCU. Pretty cool match, though. Yeah, a little vengeance that could.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a shame for the Vengeance of the Skybreakers. They couldn't really do much here. I mean, maybe they should have tackled the Bargs, but it wouldn't have stopped anything. It's kind of useless in this situation, I think. But you don't know that until you arrive on grid.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is if they'd rammed the Vengeance in and tackled that Basilisk right off the bat. I think that was sort of the game plan, but they chose not to. I don't think the minions was expecting the Basilisk to just live the entire time. But with that, Platinum sensitivity wins 100 to 31, and we're gonna go back to ourselves. Hello and welcome back. I have taken over for Ithaca Hawk because he had things he had to do. What are they? I have no idea. But we did just see Platinum sensitivity move on to the finals versus Test Alliance Please Ignore. The Minions has moved to the bronzy match of Forsaken Empire versus the Minions. I think we're going to have a little bit, I'm not going to say a break, because we're not having a break. We're going to have us chatting for a bit while they get set up, because otherwise Test would have to play a match right now, and Minions would have to play a match right now. They're probably not quite ready for that. So let's see. Wingnut, you and I just chatted a bunch, so we're going to let Satonia, what do you think about that match? How did you feel? How do Armor Bargus make you feel?
They make me feel really on edge, because I don't think Armor Vargas are really that great. Like, the fact that they only have like 6 low slots means you can't really get an effective tank on them while still doing like decent DPS with rapid heavies. It's like if you fit like 2 ballistic controls, right, you're left with like a 4-slot tank, which is pretty terrible.
Yeah, I will say they seem to live, maybe not okay, but they didn't die that fast. Was that because of rapid heavies, or is that just maybe application issues? What's the deal with that? They seem to survive better than you'd think they would.
No, I don't think they had any application issues, because they had they were shooting Bargus, right? They're big and fat.
Wow, body shaming the pancakes. I see how it is today. And Baza, do you think that Minions could have done something different? Did they maybe make a target calling mistake, or was that just getting out comped?
Honestly, Bart, I have no idea what's going on today. We've got Shield Bargs beating Armor Bargs, then we've got Armor Bargs beating Shield Bargs, then we've got everything losing to 3 Golem undermanned comps, so I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about the Minions being able to do better. I don't have a damn clue. Okay.
I think that was
excellent.
just execution. As you was putting in the match, right? The free Bargus, like, just going in.
Yeah, when they rammed in there and started doing smart bomby things.
I think the interesting part
very powerful.
I think it was a good call made in the match that they shot a volley, a reload at the Basilisk and didn't really accomplish much, whereas the other team sort of did something with their first reload and got something for it. I mean, they tried to recover by getting on top of the Basilisk and neuting him out and focusing something else, but I think it was too little too late. Maybe if they didn't waste that first volley. Obviously, in tournament settings, like, your first minute of the match is super important. If you make the wrong call to start with, it can be very, very punishing. And that's even more so with rapid heavy missile comps, because you commit your entire clip to something and you get nothing, then you've got to pay the price. You've got to wait 35 seconds of doing diddly squit, basically, and then you get another chance to try something else, but by that point it might already be too late. So yeah.
And exactly, like, the Minions comp is kind of a mental game comp. You're versing Armor AB Bargs. That's not normal. You're not expecting to verse that. But then they kind of got mentally memed by going after an AB Basil at the start. A Basil that didn't really matter until even at the end of the match. So I kind of like that they kind of got mind gamed while in a mind game comp. So I'm quite amused by this.
Yeah, I'm not sure how powerful the Zarmad really was in that situation as well, right? Because it's so hard to like save things that are under fire by rapid heavies. Like, where the Zarmad really shines is when it can ramp up on a target for a long time. But when you have like really vulnerable support like the Pontifex and the Mega, especially when there's 3 Caracals on the other team that can easily add 1.2k DPS or so that you just can't mitigate because it's rapid lights. It's just so hard to save any support chips.
I noticed as well the Zarmaz was basically just hugging one of the Bargus, which obviously when those Bargus surrounding the other Bargus, again, sorry, there's a lot of Bargus in this equation. He found out he ended up under quite a lot of nuke pressure. And yeah, he was then chased down by those conga line of 3 Bargus. So for other Logis, like Aneros or Guardian, for example, you have a little bit more range to play with. You can position maybe a little bit better. You can have a little bit more leeway with positioning and E-War control and stuff. Whereas with the Zarmaz there, he just seemed to sort of anchor up on one of his own Bargus, and then as a result ended up in a pretty bad spot. If it was another Logi, I'm saying it would be a pretty bad spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one thing with the Zarmad, right, is it gets a really long rep range on the Triglavian rep that it has, a 75-kilometer rep, but the other reps that it can fit in the highs only have about a 20-kilometer range, because it just has the default, Triglavian range bonus, not the logistics cruiser bonus that the other ones get, so it has to be within 20k to get full reps, and if he cut it out too far, maybe the Platinum could have snap killed stuff because it just wouldn't have as much rep power.
Yeah, he didn't. I'm not saying he had like the opportunity to kite around in the Zarmaz, but I mean, when you take all this into consideration, it sort of begs the question a little bit of, like we ask pretty much every time it comes up, of why do you bring the Zarmaz? Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's a cool looking ship. I'll give you that. It looks bloody awesome. But yeah, is it that good? Jury's still out, maybe, or maybe not.
Well,
It's
one
got
thing about a
places.
Zarm is, what's up?
It's got places it works. We saw it in the Alliance Opens. It definitely has a place with high EHP ships, where you have the time and HP to then rep said ship. But beyond that, like in the Barg comp, it does kind of work against Bargs because obviously clip damage. If they can't kill on the first clip, the Zarm will make sure it survives the second. So it does, at least on paper, work there as well. But it didn't work for them this time.
Well, one of the weird things about them is they actually, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm like 95% that it's the tankiest Tech 2 Logi ship in the game in regards to a tournament setting. So they have the ability to survive way better. And if you think about it, I think that if it was an Oneros or a Guardian, it would have died in the first clip, because it did take those Vargas 2 clips to take it down, which, obviously they did still take it down, but I'm pretty sure if it was an Oneros or a Guardian, they could have just alphaed it right off the bat. So something to consider there.
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
They're also really fast. Like, you can, the fitting on them is kind of absurd. So you can fit them dual prop. They still have 2 mids. They put out a pretty good amount of rep, and then they can still go with, like, I'm guessing they probably don't have a plate on them. If they did, then okay, maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about here. But they go like almost 2K a second with a MWD on, so you can actually kite really easily with them if you never, don't allow yourself to get rammed by Bargists.
The main downside in the tournament, of course, is the fact that they cost 2 more points. So, and that, even though it might sound, not that much, like that 2 points actually really puts pressure on other ships on the comp.
That is true. I mean, a lot of these setups, like, the reason why we see so many Skybreakers is because they're 1 point, and you can get into a situation where you're like, oh, I have 99 points. Crap. I guess we'll just throw a Skybreaker in. So, yeah, points matter. It's one of the reasons why people think Bargists are going to be so highly picked, is because they are only 20 points when almost every other meta battleship, with the exception of the Abaddon, which, let's be real, it's a meta battleship, are more than 20 points. I've been keeping an eye out on Twitch chat, and they are arguing over non-tournament things, which is super blessed. And by they, I mean Wingnut and Jalliant. So that's pretty exciting.
All right.
Maybe we could do what we did last week and take questions from Twitch chat.
So yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was waiting to see the what our timetable. So we will be doing the next match in about 8 minutes here. Like I said, we wanted to make sure that the minions had time to sort of be prepared. So instead of doing it every 2 or 3 minutes, we're giving them a solid 15 to get themselves set up, which means we're going to take some questions from Twitch chat. Besides that one, no, we don't like pancakes. We love pancakes. So Twitch chat, feel free to ask Lord, or there we go, Lord Servant. Why is there so much bias from the commentators against Forsaken Empire except for Satonia? I haven't heard any bias personally.
Is there?
So,
you guys won.
Yeah,
you guys won your first match. We called you out as being awesome, I thought.
I don't even know who Forsaken Empire is.
Well, they won the second open, right?
My favorite type of banana. Are there different types of banana? Maybe that's super uncultured and ignorant. I don't know.
That's a good question.
I just buy bananas. I don't know. I don't like look for a specific type of banana. Is that a thing? Does anyone else buy specific types of banana?
I'm allergic.
You're allergic to bananas?
Yes. According to Wikipedia, there's 10 different types of bananas. I don't even know what these are. Blue Java banana is apparently a thing. Ladyfinger banana, red banana.
Yep, that's we learned something today. And all right, there's an actual good one. So Droopy has asked, is there latency between rep display or is it mismanagement from the Logi? There's been multiple times where visually it looks like the Logi are repping a ship with full armor and shield. So from what I've been able to tell, there's not any latency. What you're probably seeing is rep drones not being moved super quickly, because drones do have a bit of lag. I don't know if anyone has any more insight onto the tool display.
Yeah, in the case of armor as well, it might be people spawning up because the armor reps come at the end of the cycle. You might also be seeing like a good like guardian pilot or a good nearest pilot that they preemptively put reps on people just so like when they take damage, the cycle's already there.
Yeah, and that's obviously much more sort of prevalent in a missile meta, which we're definitely seeing today, where the missiles as well as the reps have travel time. So if you can time it right, you can make it so literally the instant the missile hits, your rep cycle goes out for armor. So I mean, yeah, I don't think I haven't really noticed latency between rep display and the thing. I haven't really seen such a thing for shields, so I would imagine it is just armors repping at the end of the cycle.
Yeah, you do only see with the thing, you'll see the update when the reps visually switch. It's apparently the UI is based on when the reps get visually swapped. Is that correct? I'm reading something that General just said in production, so. So that might be what you guys are seeing. It's kind of weird, but also like you got to remember that tournament pilots there's only 10 people, so they're paying attention a lot. If you see your ship get yellow boxed by a bunch of stuff and then a target painter go on you, you might be like, "Hey guys, I'm probably about to get shot." So what you might be seeing is people just pre-repping. Since honestly, with some of the DPS that's being thrown around here, pre-rep's not the only thing that's going to save you.
There's also a question from Jalen who says, why don't Tinker comps work anymore? I say that the main reason why it is the support T3Cs are banned. You can't fit remote reps on Tengus in this tournament, and also this year specifically the Atana is banned because all uniques are banned. It's like we normally saw Atanas using a distributed Tengu, so distributed Tinker. I can't say anything to save my life today.
Yeah, so previously Tinker was referring pretty much to Tech 3 cruisers, so all these comps today that we're calling Tinkers are probably more accurately called like pseudo-Tinkers, like the three golems cap transferring each other, for example, just because they don't feature a Tech 3 Logi cruiser, which is, as Sotonia said, just totally banned.
As I talked about earlier as well, it's somewhat of a debate whether the resist nerf and the DPS buff has made it so the original Tinkers might not function either, even if they were allowed.
Malcolm makes a good point. Tinker was fine, it was just being run with... Well, actually, I think that's a test issue. I think if we see tests with like 4 or 5 pilots, they'll be absolutely unstoppable. Clearly, they get stronger with the less pilots they have on grid, so that's just simple logic, really.
Well, and they're doing it's a really interesting setup on their part. I really like the remote cap transfer. Like, there's not really a good target on their team. Besides, it's like, okay, you kill the Kirans, but that doesn't really seem to matter that much. So, I don't know. Tessa's thought of something... I'm guessing they probably don't have a full 10-man team, and that's why they're doing this, but they've thought of a very, very good setup to make up for the fact that they don't have the people. Or this is a really good meta setup. I don't know.
In my opinion, that comp is only working as the teams they're versing is not high enough DPS. If we saw the full, Nighthawk or Sleipnir Rush unlocked, it would die in moments. In my opinion. It's tanky, it really is, but it's not that tanky. And I think that's kind of the core problem with it.
Yeah, I think a Vindicator Rush might prove problematic for them too.
Or Twin Leshak. Even though that is banned today, a Twin Leshak Rush, yeah, sure, you'd rep for the first 30 seconds, but the next 30 seconds you'd be dead.
Yeah, I think the double TFI comp as well, floated by literally triggered, might pose an issue. Unfortunately, of course, they didn't get to go up against the Tinker Golems, but if they had, I think that might also potentially cause a problem. Either 2 Tempest or 3 Tempest variation, where you've got all those heavy newts pumping in, that could cause a bit of disruption, and once they get on top, they're going to pump out the damage as well. So that could be tricky, but they didn't get that matchup, unfortunately.
I'm definitely a fan of the comp, though. I love the idea of, okay, we're undermanned, let's make use of it. Because I was talking about that in the chat a while back. I'm so happy it works.
Well, excitingly enough, the next match is actually just about to be ready. So we're going to be having Forsaken Empire versus the Minions. And, both of these teams have actually flown really, really well today. I think that it's not that, they just kind of got, weirdly countered in both setups. So kind of expecting some good stuff out of them. Does anyone have any predictions, or are we just going to bounce it straight to the arena?
Teams are on grid. Let's go to the arena. I'm not going to pretend like I can predict anything. So
perfect. Bassa says that he wants to cast with Sotonia, and we're going to go straight to the arena.
See, if you predict something, you always risk being wrong. So It's always better to just say, hedge your bets, say you don't know. So yeah, welcome to the arena. We have Forsaken Empire up against the Minions. The Minions bringing triple Nighthawk, double Cerberus, which I don't think we've seen today. 2 Scalpels and 3 Flycatchers.
Yeah, Forsaken Empire bringing the comp that they used to win their first match with the double Abaddon, triple Oracle, Rapier, Neros, and 3 Skybreakers. So this is going to be a pretty interesting match, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we saw this double Abaddon, triple. Oh, they've switched it. No, oh wait, I haven't got the Oracle. They have exactly the same.
That's it. Have you seen the Nighthawks?
What about them? Enlighten me, Suetonia.
Oh, these are heavy missile Nighthawks, so this is more of a kiting comp, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's somewhat what I expected with the 2 Cerberuses and having seen them warp in at range. So, I mean, for me, I think if I was flying this Nighthawk comp, I look at the Rapier and I go, he needs to die. Because as Forsaken Empire's opponents found out in the previous match, the Rapier is really, really key to this comp with these 5 gunbows just absolutely pumping out DPS. If the Rapier webs and paints you, you're probably not going to tank it for all that long. So if they can punch through this Rapier, that'll be key to their victory. But of course, the Oneros may also pose an issue, preventing them from doing that. So they may need to deal with the Oneros first. So it'll be interesting to see what the minions opt for and what they choose to do.
Yeah, no, I've been checking out the other guns. The Flycatchers they're not light missile launchers, they're actually rockets, which is kind of interesting. So I guess we're going to see them kind of used as like brawlers.
Yeah, I mean, with the Jackdaw band, I think the Flycatcher is for sure sort of the next best option. With the Interdictor update, it got a HP bonus, so they are very, very tanky. Decent HP, but I mean, with the kiting comps and the scalpels presumably not wanting to burn in either, I'm not sure how long they'll last. Although if they can get under the guns of the Oracle and the Abaddon, it may be tricky. So I mean, these Flycatchers I would expect to be they'll be a pretty nuisance if the Rapier goes down and they're no longer able to be tracked. So these Flycatchers are immediately just rushing into the middle of this squad, and the Rapier is actually the primary. Minions have said, right, indeed, they need to get rid of this Rapier immediately, and he's taken huge chunks already.
Yeah, like no links on the side of Forsaken Emperor, of course, so that Rapier is going to be extra squishy, only having 4 low slots and no links, and it's gone already.
Yeah. So that's a big problem for Forsaken Empire. As I said, that Rapier, absolute linchpin to that comp. You need those webs, you need the paints for the application. Of course, Oracle's having large guns, they haven't got the best tracking if anything gets on top of them. The Abaddons, obviously having large guns unless they're trolling and they're flying small pulse laser Abaddons for...
Yeah. Every single one of those oracles has been tackled by an individual Flycatcher, so they're all locked down. They've all like said, like each Flycatcher is going after one oracle, and they're all tackled and locked down by those Flycatchers right now.
And the oracles obviously just have no capacity to deal with them. They cannot get these Flycatchers off them. And the first oracle, already goes down, so that frees up one of the Flycatchers to go and do his thing, probably tackle down maybe the Aneros or something else. But these oracles facing the DPS from the Cerberuses and the Nighthawks not going to be lasting long here.
Yeah, and interestingly, it looks like the Forsaken Empire just haven't really done too much damage here onto the minion side. I mean, we've got Trinity Weaver holding in about half shields. Just like I think they tried to kill Voronic's Nighthawk straight away, and they weren't able to do it. They lose an Oracle. This Cerberus seems to be holding pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to kite, then these kind of missile boats, the Nighthawks and the Cerberuses are great because you don't have to worry about your own tracking. You can just fire off the missiles. Yeah, I'm in range. Yeah, let's just fire off the missiles. And then you can focus on your own piloting to maximize your transversal and minimize your damage. So all of these DPS ships, all of the Nighthawks and all of the Cerberuses don't really have to worry about their own tracking. They can, as long as they're in range, they're fine. And then they can then just focus their attention on mitigating damage incoming from the Oracle and the Abaddon. And of course, without any application with that Rapier just instantly dying, the Oracle and the Abaddon, they're pretty helpless here.
Yeah, the Abaddons are shooting the Cerb with Scorch 2, and so they're not quite doing as much DPS as they hopefully would be doing. And it looks like Cerberus of Trinity Weaver is just kind of holding, with the 2 scalpels on him and a couple of rep bots. It looks like that's enough to keep him up, and they're probably going to be able to pick off another Oracle. Looks like the Aneros as well has been tackled by one of the Flycatchers that got freed up by one of the Oracles dying. So we might see the Aneros die soon too.
Yeah, the Flycatchers have been an absolute menace here. I don't think they were utilized particularly in killing the Rapier, but after that they've just absolutely swept up everything.
One just died like instantly, like free shot.
Wow, maybe he lost track of where he was based on, relative to the other Abaddon, or maybe he was tackling the Oracle and the two Abaddons were in a good position to shoot him, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I quite like this Forsaken Empire comp the first time they brought it today. It looked quite good, but in general, I would say I'm kind of skeptical about the prospect of bringing 3 Oracles in a sort of non-control comp. To me, I feel like attack battle cruisers, of which the Oracle is pretty much far and away the best, are sort of a cheap cherry on top in terms of DPS. You can spend 10 points, and if you don't need the tank for a regular battle cruiser, you can say, well, we're going to bring an Oracle, we'll get some decent range, damage, projection, etc. But you need to have something to protect it with. You need to have some kind of utility or some kind of control on the field. If you're playing a match like in this one, where the Oracles don't really have anything to stop flycatchers or like getting on top of them, to stop control Cerberuses or Nighthawks and keep them at range or prevent them applying, then they're just going to die, and then you've spent 30 points on effectively very little. So yeah, it worked earlier, didn't work this time around. It's unlucky.
Yeah, I think a big problem with the comp too, right, is there's no links, and then the rapier that they have, which is kind of the linchpin of their setup, is what like allows like the two Abaddons and the 3 Oracles to just wreck everything. It's got 4 low slots, no links. When you're coming up against something like 3 heavy missile launcher Nighthawks and 2 Cerberuses, it's just not going to survive.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a very offensively minded comp. Either you kill everything else very quickly, or you die rather quickly. And in this case, it just so happens that they died. The Nighthawks, I don't think we've seen them before today, but they're still obviously proven to be very, very strong. The Cerberuses as well. I thought maybe we'd see less Nighthawks in light of the bans, with the Loki gone, the Hyena gone, the Scimitar gone, the Jackdaw gone, etc. So all those sort of Nighthawky comps, which seem particularly reliant in the past on Lokis, I thought they'd turn up a little bit less. But yeah, Ham Nighthawks we saw a little bit earlier, and they didn't fare too well, but heavy missile Nighthawks seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that this triple Oracle double Abaddon comp just didn't work out too well. They did have 3 Skybreakers in the comp. It'd be interesting to see maybe if they changed tactics and had like the Skybreakers screen off flycatchers before they arrived on the Oracles, if it would have made much of a difference. I think the Rapier was still going to die though.
Yeah, I don't think the flycatchers were critical to killing the Rapier, but yeah, I don't know how the Skybreakers fit. Obviously, if you fit them for like maximum disruption with guidance disruptors and whatnot, then you might be light on tackle or light on tank, for example. And then if you fly your 3 guidance disruptor Skybreaker into Cerberuses, you might just kill it. So yeah, it might not have been an option available to them, but yeah, I mean, potentially, if they did have these Skybreakers filling a sort of tackle-y role, it might be better.
Yeah, there must be so much DPS on the minion side too, because we saw like an Abaddon die with the nearest 2 alive.
Yeah, 2 Cerberuses and 3 Nighthawks is definitely nothing to poke a stick at. Really wouldn't want to come up against this in the actual tournament. I mean, Nighthawks, in general, as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, just very, very dangerous in general there. I feel like it's, I said earlier, DPS meta. I think more accurately I would describe it as a sort of stat stick meta, where you want to just maximize DPS and maximize tank as much as possible, and Nighthawks are fantastic at both.
And they also provide great utility too, with the option to bring links and the 2 utility highs.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it's Neuros is lasting a long time. I think he has a reactive armor hardener I can see, and I think the Nighthawks and Cerberuses are probably shooting kinetic at him, because that's what their damage bonus saw, so that's why he's probably living like pretty long. I just think they're swapping over to the Abaddon now.
Yeah, I think damage types are sort of sometimes a little bit overlooked, particularly for, I mean, Caldari meta with Nighthawks and Cerberuses in particular, both being locked kinetic. If you come up against an armor comp, as you just mentioned, if you find a reactive armor hardener out in the wild, it can be a tricky thing to break down when they're cycling and they get to, what, 90-something% kinetic resistance. Plus it's on an Oneros as well, so he's already got a base high kinetic resistance anyway. Obviously he's not going to win this match on his own, but it can be a tricky scenario to sort of build comps in light of bans and in light of damage locks. And I mean, it applies to Forsaken Empire's team comp as well. Like I said earlier, with the 2 Abaddons and 3 Oracles, if you come up against another armor comp that's got full reactive armor hardeners on their high end, you may have difficulty breaking something, and that's a pretty critical error in such a DPS-focused comp.
Yeah, there's ways around it that they can use, like kinetic. They can use like warriors and hornets, the Caldari explosive drones to make sure that they're always doing different damage types.
Yeah, for sure. Nighthawks, missile boats in general have a better sort of, even if they're kinetic locked, they have a better time of working around that problem than laser boats for sure.
And the banner's gone, so it's just an Inuris left alive who obviously has 0 DPS. So looks like he's just going towards a micro jump unit. So I assume he's going to jump out the arena to end the match. We're seeing GFs in local.
Yep, so keeps not long for this world. So that means at the end of today, this is going to be the Minions claiming 3rd place, Forsaken Empire taking a very respectable 4th place. And yeah, stay tuned, and we will see the final between Test Alliance Please Ignore and Platinum Sensitivity. That's going to happen, of course, once this Oneros dies. But he's taking his time, or rather, the Minions are taking their sweet time at killing him.
Yeah, I think he's almost on the micro jump unit now. He's going to jump to glory. Unfortunately, I think he's like afterburner fitted, so he's not going to be able to break Casper 24's record.
Oh, he's just about to get on it. Here he goes. Is he going to die in the 12 seconds it takes for him to jump?
I think he's going to make the jump, but he's only going to be like 70k out the arena, so not like a huge.
No record breaking, but he does go down, and that marks the end of the match. So congratulations to the Minions for finishing 3rd place this week. Good job.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipples? And we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And with that, we have finished off the, I guess, I don't want to say the losers matches, because they've all flown fantastically today, but we have finished off the bronze match with Forsaken Empire versus the Minions, ending in a unfortunate loss for Forsaken Empire with their Abaddons. We did see some pretty cool stuff. We saw Kiting Nighthawks. We saw no links. I kind of want to talk about the no links thing. So Tony, do you want to sort of warm us up with that one?
Yeah, sure. So almost every team comp that we'll see in the tournament are probably going to bring a ship that brings links or command bursts. They give powerful AoE effects, basically buffs to their entire team. Normally we'll see something like a command destroyer, which costs 6 points, or a regular combat battlecruiser sometimes. Most usually it's going to be a command ship. Interestingly, the Forsaken Empire team actually opted to take 0 links in their setup. So in particular, that means that they're not going to get any like armor defensive boosts or any shield defensive boosts. They're not going to have like web range bonuses, although I think the rapier is probably good without them. You can still look out to 52 kilometers. The information bursts are probably not that useful on that team. But yeah, definitely not having like armor bursts on their team definitely means the Oneros is not going to be as effective as it could be. Its reps are going to cycle slower. They're not going to have as much resist, especially when you take into account that rapier that only has a 4-slot tank to begin with because it has 4 lows. So it's going to be very, very squishy.
Well, whether or not that was what cost them the ability to keep the rapier up or not, we will never know. However, we are going to quickly go straight into the first of our best of 3 matches of Test Alliance Please Ignore up against Platinum Sensitivity. I believe the match is ready right now. So let's have a Wingnut and me talk about it again. So we
No,
have
that's
test.
daring.
They found 8 people, which they had last
Keep
time. But
finding one more.
they've changed it up though. Look at this. They brought Lynx, they brought a Kieran, and they brought a Stormbringer, as well as 3 golems. But we already kind of knew about that. What about Platinum sensitivity?
Is Platinum bringing that full DPS triple bug, triple caracal, Bassi setup? I'm still locking things up, so I'm a bit behind you at the moment. This is going to be interesting. I think tests keep finding more people hidden under the sofa or something because they're slowly been getting more pilots.
Yeah, you know what's crazy though is Test has also beat Bargus on every single match so far. So we're going to find out if Platinum has what it takes to defeat the unbeatable triple golem setup with what appears to be something countered by it. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Lots of damage going out already. It hasn't quite applied yet, but it looks like Platinum sensitivity is going after the Kieran, where Test is all-inning on the Basilisk.
Yeah, okay, that's a reasonable enough call. I honestly was expecting them to go after one of the caracals, just delete 500 DPS before it even gets close to them. But they're going for the Bassi first. That's probably a good call. You see a bunch of Rep drones already onto the Bassi now. And we're seeing more and more and more be put onto him. And Kieran now being primary, he's going to have a really poor life with 3 caracals on me. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to live through that. Which is interesting though, because we've seen them survive without the Kieran so many times. But this is the first time the Kierans have gone down that fast. I think maybe Platinum has a really good plan, and this Bazzi is holding, and I'm pretty sure it's an afterburning Basilisk.
Yep, the second Kieran down. Yeah, 3 caracals of rapid lights is disgusting amounts of DPS. We have to see what these bargs do. They're obviously going to go into these golems. They're going to try and spread newts and maybe try and break this this cap chain. Or is he going to try and bump it? Actually, look at Kentalarius. Yeah, it goes for the bump on one of the golems. Pushes Dinar Mansasi a good distance away. Are they going to go for it again, or are they just going to push him once?
Well, both links are down on the Test Alliance team, quickly dropping. So without those Storks, the self-tank of these golems is going to be way lower, and Soldarius is getting destroyed right now.
That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. He's repping for as hard as he can. Oh,
yeah, all 3 Bargus are on top of him. They are, yeah. They got newts on them. They got drones. They're smart bombing off the rep drones. Like Platinum, they just rammed in. This might have been the play all along.
Potentially, but look, he's starting to tank better now. They're not nuding out the guys giving him capacitor either. They're just nuding him. Honestly, they need to start bumping him. No one's scrammed them. Start bumping this goal further away off.
Yeah, I don't. There's only 1 cap transfer going on to him now, and it's from the Stormbringer. So, I think once this
within range. Yeah, other golems occasionally doing.
It's the jams. It's the Griffin.
Oh my god, the Griffin.
The Tinker hard counter.
Well, the golem has solidified. Looks like they're going to go for a reload now. Try and go for him again. Just start bumping him. Just start beating this golem away from his friends so we can't get any capacitor at all. Or alternatively, bump them away from him.
Looks like he's bumped him. He's bumped about 15 off now. They're doing a really good job bumping him. So, Platinum sensitivity definitely being smart about this and continuously getting him away. It does look like they're no prop golems as well. Yeah, look at the bumps. Here it comes. Big bump.
Here it comes. The bump and the clips incoming at the same time. Oh no, the other Bargus is in the way.
Oh, it doesn't matter though. Look at him go though. Yeah.
Yes. This is how you break this comp. More DPS. And they got 3 caracals pounding on him too. That's so much DPS. And pop. Yep. The Tinker is broken. The Tinker is broken. This is great. I love this.
I mean, this Griffin, I think, is what might actually be doing it, and they can't kill it. Like, they're trying. There's drones on it. The fact that Test is putting all of their damage on this Griffin, it's really hard to tell because it doesn't look like there's any damage on it. But, it proves that the Griffin is what's killing them right here, I think. We'll probably talk about it in a little bit because this match is going to be over before we can get into it. But
it's a great combination here. Obviously the Bassi is providing the reps required to save the Griffin, and the Griffin's also just being a pain in the ass to kill. And you notice that all the rep drones are still on the Bassi. They haven't had to bring it onto the Griffin. They haven't had to put it on the Bargs, just the Bassi. So honestly, Test since the start of this match have done nothing. They haven't been able to break things. They've been trying to shoot the Griffin. They haven't shot anything else, and they can't even shoot the Bassi because it's got so many rep drones on it. It just won't die. So yeah, they just got pulled apart. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, they. I'm seeing local chat talking about RNGesus, which, as we are all aware, is always in reference to ECM. I'm not sure how much of this was RNGesus and how much of it was just being out set up. We'll probably get a little bit of time to talk about it. Stormbringer was a really cool idea. I think that's the first time we've seen one of them in a hot minute. So death to all rep drones, but. Yeah, Malcolm's going down. And,
to be fair, that's
you don't like Stormbringers?
He could have been useful here. He could have just chased after the Bassi, removed the rep drones, and maybe killed it. But he sat next to his golem friends.
You know, that
I'm
is
a fan.
true.
They're just not. They're not worth the price. I'd rather just bring a couple of Skybreakers instead for cheaper, which does the same job. But yeah, now it's just that one Stormbringer left.
Oh, he just
and
went.
gone.
Maybe that should have been the primary in the first place. Well, that was a pretty quick one, about 4.5 minutes down with Platinum Sensitivity, 100-0ing test. However, this is a best of 3, so we're going to see these guys in just a little bit, and we're going to go back to the studio and talk about what just happened there, because there's a lot to unpack.
We who have seen war will never stop seeing it. In the silence of the night, we will always hear the screams. So this is our story. Wolves amongst strangers.
Nah, he's got it. It'll be fine.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm getting a point. You guys ready? Oh, there's a curse as well. Are you shitting me? You're welcome, Durst.
And we are back with Test Alliance Please Ignore's Triple Golem setup finally being defeated by something that we've seen them beat several times before. So I'm going to throw this over to the Baza so he can kind of analyze what exactly happened there.
Okay, so what went wrong by my calculations, this is back of the envelope maths, is Test brought 8 pilots this time when they brought 7 or 6 previously. And as we've already established, the more pilots they bring, the weaker they get. So if they want to win this series, they need to bring less pilots. I mean, hold up on general intuition here, okay? You may think more pilots are stronger, but Test are an anomaly. They are a real enigma here going on. So I think they need to bring some kind of triple rattlesnake comp and then put in a command ship. And then that's like, what, 89 points or something? And then they can put in like a Gila. And then they've got 5 ships. Now that would be unbeatable, I think. No, in all seriousness, I think it's just a really, really good job by Platinum Sensitivity for bumping them. Those Bargers did a fantastic job. They recognized those golems obviously kept transferring each other. They've had plenty of opportunity to identify that over the course of the evening, seeing Test's previous matches. They're obviously just going to park up on top of each other and cap transfer, and it makes them a lot more difficult to break. So if you can just ram the Bargers into them, chain ram them in fact, because one bumped in and the next one's already lining him up, ready to go, balling him across the arena, and stop those cap transfers, they become a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, for those who don't know, a cap transfer on non-logistic ships has about a 10-kilometer range. So as soon as they got the Bargist, or as soon as they bumped the Golem over 10k out, the infinite tank of the Golem has been completely removed, and that's just very, like you said, very smart call on Platinum Sensitivity there. We also saw some interesting target calling on the Test side. Setonia, any comments on that one?
Well, the Basilisk lived for so long, and I guess they had to kill the Basilisk. One thing that actually really triggered me, though, Blackbard, was the fact that the Stormbreaker didn't have a gun fitted. It had an energy transfer, so it was basically 6-point energy transfer. And if it actually had a gun fitted, it could have shot the Basilisk and killed all of the like 5 flights of Reppods that were on it, that were keeping it alive the whole time.
It is that's true. We didn't even see that, which is bad job, people who commentated there, which is me and Wingnut. But yeah, a Stormbringer can hit to 100k with their I hate saying the ammo name, strike snipe ammo, and it allows you to. So they could have taken out all of the rep drones from pretty much anywhere on the field there. So yeah, really good call. I think that's probably one of the reasons why that Basilisk survived for so long.
Yeah, I don't know why we see so many people not using the guns on those things. I mean, even on the Skybreakers as well. Those guns, I cannot overstate this. They obliterate rep drones. They absolutely murder them. And as we all know, rep drones are ubiquitous in the Alliance tournament. You see them every year in every comp. Everyone fields rep drones. They're so powerful. Those ships are designed to just destroy rep drones. They're so valuable. So bringing it without a gun, you're like, okay, they're cheaper. They're 1 point for the little one. What's it, the Skybreaker, or 6, I think, for the Stormbringer. But you're not doing what it does. It murders drones. That's what it does.
Well,
Do
I think it makes sense on the Skybreaker if you're bringing the Skybreaker for utility tackle and you know like you want to fit like a 400 plate on it or something.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think
Skybreaker has other options. But
yeah, I think it's fine on the
general.
Skybreaker, but for a Stormbringer that you're bringing 6 points and you're just fitting like just using it as an energy transfer, like you could bring a mower and it would do the exact same job and it would have more utility because it would actually have a drone bay.
Yeah, for sure.
And you would have 2 more points to like upgrade something.
It was a cool attempt. I think they could have done something. What do you think, Wingnut?
I just loving the joke we're all having right now. do you honestly want to see them bring Higgs rigged fucking golems?
I love that. I would absolutely love a Higgs rigged golem just to see how resistant it is to bumping. That would be fantastic, and I really hope that happens.
I'm too busy looking at like some of the chats just dying laughing about the idea of just a Higgs rigged golem trying to warp to the arena. You'd die of old age before you arrived.
Look, I mean, if they do that and it works, they might actually be the greatest team of all time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, true.
I kind of doubt we're gonna see that, but hey, maybe. I mean, or I have an alternative idea. Are you ready for this? Find 2 more pilots.
I don't know. That's
and
really
fly a
hard
10-man
to test
setup.
with their 10,000 plus man alliance. I don't know if they can find 2 more. That might
I think
be
they're
an
actually up to
impossible
17,000 now. It's pretty high, pretty close to that. So
cheap.
Yeah, but how many of those 17,000 pilots are good enough to be an ET?
Can't press more than F1 and
8. Apparently, the answer is 8. So, that's the thing. But yeah, it was pretty good stuff. They've been doing really, really good matches today. Totally out of the box, doing fantastic. So plus 1 to test there. That being said, it did seem that Platinum Sensitivity kind of they outplayed them there. I don't necessarily know if they outcomped them, but they definitely outplayed them there.
I think the comp that Platinum has is actually like versatile enough that it can engage a lot of different comps, even more than Test's silly Golem comp. It has enough DPS and enough utility behind it to actually pick off a lot of different comps. It can chase down a Fly Killer, it can kill a Battleship Heavy Core, it can wipe out support fleets as quickly as it wants. So it's actually a pretty good comp. Like 3 Caracals is not nothing to sneeze about.
Yeah, I think like 3 Tech 1 cruisers in comps is actually like stepped on quite a bit because I know like Fraternity were bringing like triple Vexor in a lot of their comps, and I actually think it's like pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think with the Jackdaw ban, the Caracal is actually a pretty viable choice. I think the Jackdaw's kind of super overpowered for what you get for the 4 points. But with the Jackdaw band, like I said, the Caracal, pretty strong like missile boat as well. The fact that Tech 1 cruisers, their sort of main weakness is their lack of resist and their lack of durability. But if you're flying a kite like Missile Caracal that can just fly around and stay away from everything else, that's not too much of an issue, and you still get pretty much the same effectiveness out of it. So yeah, I think the Caracals are actually a pretty good choice there. I like to see it.
Yeah, and like the Caracals are a very good one for killing small ships. They also see the Vexors occasionally as just newt boats, which work very well for just turning a Logi ship off. But you don't see many others. Honestly, I want to see more Arbitrators. They've got the same sort of idea as a Vexor, but they can also fit other stuff as well to be even more annoying.
Yeah, I think we've seen Arbitrators a couple times in the past, but the thing is, Arbitrators are disruption cruisers, so I think they are 6.
Yeah, they're more points.
Aww.
But then you can just bring a Blackbird, and yeah, I mean Blackbirds are Blackbirds, really, aren't they? Everyone knows what a Blackbird is.
Everyone hates Blackbirds.
Jammy boat. Well, kind of looking at the ECM, my next sort of question / comment was that Griffin. So we did see a little bit of like ECM RNG. Did the Griffin, was that like the big thing there? We kind of didn't talk about it yet, and I think that might have been the jams with the cap transfers and all that. Like, do you think that should have been taken out first? Was that the linchpin of the entire fleet setup on Platinum Sensitivity?
I think it was a 2-sided coin. It was both the Griffin mixed with a Basilisk. They had to pick one or the other and kill one or the other, and they couldn't get either one. You go for the Griffin, the Bassi saves you. You go for the Bassi, but the Griffin jams you. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place there, I think. But Bassi or Suetonia could probably correct me there, but I feel like they couldn't really do much with those 2 ships together. Whereas one, they could stop.
Yeah,
They're like, nah, dude.
I think it's inaccurate. I was just thinking, yeah, I think it's a good point. Griffins, yeah, it's annoying, and if you're bringing those triple cruise golems as well, obviously they're going to have trouble applying to it. And that I think is part of the strength of rapid light missile boats that we're seeing. I mean, the Cerberus that we saw whenever it was a couple of matches ago or last match. Can't remember, the Gilas, the Orthruses, etc., the Caracals that we talked about, the Jackdaws, all these light missile boats. If you come up against a Griffin, you can just absolutely nuke him with light missiles, whereas cruise golems have a little bit more trouble doing that because of application issues.
Well, regardless of how that one went, they are going to have at least one more, and like I say every single time, hopefully two, but I think we've only had one weekend where the best of three has gone to three. So Platinum Sensitivity and Test are going to be going up against each other relatively soon here. They have been teleported into space, but that doesn't mean we're going to be seeing what they have for a little bit. Are we thinking same team comps on both sides or not?
Well, if Test only have 8 pilots, and I'm pretty sure they're pretty limited to golems, or like maybe changing it up a little bit to like, you know, Scorpion Legacies or something.
Yeah, having 8 points makes you pretty limited, but I mean they could go for some. I've got to go for something top heavy. But yeah, I think triple Marauder of some variety, different Marauders, Vargas or Paladins or something might be worth a shout, might be worth a try. They ran double Lashaks last week, but of course the Lashaks banned this week, so they can't do that. So yeah, it does limit their options a little bit.
Actually, a question.
I would still like to see the Higgs golems. How expensive are Tech 1 battle cruisers?
Yeah.
They are 13 points.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Well, my idea is in my head now.
Except for the attack battle cruisers, which are only 10 points.
Yeah.
Just putting that out
and
there.
What's it called? The Dracovac, which is 17, but that's kind of like a not, it's hand wavy if that's Tech 1 or not.
Yeah, they don't perform like Tech 1, let's be real.
Return of the Octodad?
Well, you can only bring 3 battle cruisers now, so there is some stuff you can do. I'm not sure how good some of the stuff you can do. Like, I'd like to see somebody try like a Ferox Eagle setup and just have ridiculous long-range railgun damage, but it's probably not actually good. But it could be.
You can do something dumb like triple Serb, like triple Oracle, and then just like 2 battleships or something. You can probably squeeze that in somehow.
Yeah, I think 8 battle cruisers was too strong, and there's a reason why you can't fly it anymore. So, yeah.
Oh, the good thing is, even though you can only bring 3 battle cruisers now, you know the attack battle cruisers are a lot cheaper this year because of that. So you get to see fun stuff like triple Oracle.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a shame that the other 3 of them just aren't very good.
I was about to say, we only see Oracles.
Oracles, Tornadoes, Talos, and Naga are just all kind of doo-doo.
Hey, we saw Naga Dominic's comps in the Alliance Opens, and that thing was disgusting.
Well, thankfully, we are having teams land here, and I'm going to spoil it just a little bit. Test brought something different.
Yeah,
I know. It's wild, right? And I think as soon as these teams are landed, which is always hard to tell if Test is all here or not because there is slightly less of them than expected, we will be sending it over to Satonia and the Baza. Let me just make sure that everybody is in fact here. And we'll switch as soon as they are. They do seem to be. Yeah, I think we're good. All right.
All right, so welcome to the arena with myself and Sutonia. And of course, the stars of the show, Platinum Sensitivity and Test Alliance, please ignore. So Platinum Sensitivity bring in the same thing they brought before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. 3 Barghests, Basilisk, Bifrost, Triple Caracal, Vigil, and the Griffin, of course.
Yeah, and Test have dropped a pilot. They're now using a 7-man setup, which is 2 Nighthawks, 3 Cerberuses, and 2 Kirins.
I think you may have someone not locked, Sutonia, as they do have 3 Nighthawks.
Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, triple Nighthawk, triple Serb, double Kirin.
So yeah, I mean, it's different, which is good. I mean, they showed they couldn't work with the golems. That Platinum Sensitivity found a counter to it. They knew how to deal with it. They bumped them apart. They clearly had enough damage to break them. They've said, let's switch it up. Let's go for triple Nighthawk, triple Cerberus, and double Kirin. And I actually kind of like it. I think this has a reasonable chance here for an undermanned comp. I think just through virtue of these ships all being very strong, they've got 6 strong DPS boats, the 3 Nighthawks, the 3 Serbs. They're more than capable of dealing with the Caracals, the Vigil, the Griffin, as I talked about before the match. Those rapid light missile boats absolutely mince through them. The Basilisk as well, of course. So yeah, I mean, they should be able to absolutely wreck the support wing, and then the Nighthawks.
They are heavy. Sorry, they're hams, so they're gonna have to be like
Hams.
close range.
Are they ham Cerberuses as well? Should
they're rapid light.
Yeah, I would be
ham
surprised at ham
Nighthawks.
Cerberuses, but ham Nighthawks. Yeah, I mean, if they expect to be on top of the bar, I guess that makes sense. Those guys can brawl each other out, but the Cerberuses at least should have a fun time dealing with the frigate wing.
Yeah, they can. If anything else happens, like they can at least probably kill the Griffin this time. You know, even if they lose, they kill that Griffin, so they won technically.
Yeah, I think it would be a wise choice as well not to make the mistake that another team made earlier in the day and promptly deal with the Vigil as well. Of course, all these ships, you know, the 3 Cerberuses, the 2 Kirins, all going to suffer pretty significantly from being painted. So dealing with the Vigil, taking those bonus paints away and making it more difficult for the Barghest to apply would be a pretty high priority move. So these Cerberuses and Nighthawks are just burning straight in.
They're shooting the Basilisk right now, which is after benefited, so these Nighthawks are actually catching up to it. The hams are expiring before they reach him right now, but they're about to reach him. There's a Test have a Kirin in about half shields. I guess the Caracals are probably going to make mincemeat of the Test shield logi. But if this Basilisk gets caught by these Nighthawks, which it will shortly, it might not be that bad for Test.
Yeah, so that first Kirin does go down, but the Vigil is taking chunks of damage as well, presumably from the Cerberuses who are, you know, they've got so much range with the rapid lights, they can just be pretty much anywhere and still hit him. So yeah, the Vigil goes down, so that's going to be pretty significant debuff to the damage application from Platinum Sensitivity.
Yeah, I think these Nighthawks are always going to take full damage from rapid heavies regardless, but it might be enough for the Cerberuses to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I'm still seeing with that both Kirin's dead, there's still a significant chunk on that active tank bar for the Test side. So these are surely XLASB Nighthawks, so they're going to be pretty tanky regardless.
Yeah, so the Cerberus have an XLSB too. It looks like Charakatarich is surviving right now. The Basilisk has been caught by the Nighthawks, so now it looks like he's not really taking that much damage yet, though. There's 3 Nighthawks sitting on top of him, and he is webbed by at least one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw those jams coming out from the Griffin on the 2 Nighthawks and then back on the 3 Nighthawks, so it's potential that they're all jammed. I mean, this has been a very Caldari-focused day. It may have been easy somewhat for Platinum Sensitivity to Caldari stack the Griffin. There's real potential here for him to have like 3 or more Caldari jams.
I am not seeing any missiles coming out of any of the Nighthawks and shooting the Basilisk.
Yeah, so those Cerberuses need to be dealing with that Griffin ASAP, but yeah, I mean, they are chunking him, but I'm not sure if they should have got rid of him before the Vigil. But he's holding for the time being. He's taking some damage, but
yeah, the Vigil kill I think might have made sense while the Griffin is gone.
If he goes down.
The Vigil kill probably makes sense while the Kirins are still alive, but like killing him once the Kirins are dead is probably a bit of a waste because I think the Barghest are almost always going to be able to apply to everything else pretty well.
Yeah, and they've lost that first Cerberus in the meantime, so that was, I mean, they're not going to like the RNGesus thing again, but I mean, the Griffin clearly pretty influential in this match in stopping those Nighthawks firing on the Basilisk, who they're still just parked on top of, clearly not jammed, but not really having much impact as this 3rd Cerberus now does start taking chunks of armor, and he's going to go down pretty rapidly.
Yeah, but I mean, the Basilisk is starting to take a lot of damage now. I think now with all of the Nighthawks unjammed and, you know, probably having like 3 webs on him instead of just, you know, like 1. He's probably going to take a bit more damage, but even if they lose the Basilisk at this point, I think 3 Barghest and 3 Caracals can pretty much take 3 Nighthawks fairly well.
Yeah, for sure, and as well, even if they were sort of outstatted in terms of DPS and tank, I mean, they know that these are ham Nighthawks, and these are rapid heavy Barghests, so I mean, there's always the potential as well to just buy some time and spread out, burn around, use their superior range and speed and scram range, etc., to keep the Nighthawks at arm's length. And this Basilisk is still holding just fine.
Yeah, he's doing very well. I have to wonder if it's like an application issue or if it's like maybe a damage type issue. I'm not like he's just doing really, really well.
Yeah, it is potential that the Nighthawks are in fact loaded kinetic, which the Basilisk is going to be pretty strong against. There's also all these rep drones on him, which the 3 Nighthawks and just the Test comp in general didn't really have an effective way of dealing with. Of course, with no Skybreaker, no Stormbringer, not much of a support wing to talk about to deal with these rep bots. So the Basilisk is just being held up pretty much by these swarm of shield bots on him.
Basilisk is not webbed anymore either, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Like, how he escaped web range. Because one of the Nighthawks has dropped off behind him, and he's completely unwebbed, so his like damage mitigation is going to be like really high, especially against like like rage hand DPS.
Yeah, I think the Barghest just burnt over and put their scrams on the Nighthawks, and of course the scrams shut off the MWD of the Nighthawks, but as you mentioned, the Afterburner Basilisk doesn't really care about being scrammed himself, so he can just sort of slowly boat out of range, and yeah, this is going to mark the end of the night for both these teams. Congratulations to Platinum Sensitivity. But of course, a valiant showing from Test, with only 7 or 8 pilots throughout the evening, and getting to the finals is itself a pretty remarkable achievement, so good job to them. Now we await the final kill of the night of Party Boy and the Nighthawk.
Yeah, good fights being called. Test put up a pretty good fight. Unfortunately, Platinum Sensitivity are going to take it 2-0 here in this final series. Dreadit are recruiting, by the way, so maybe you could be the 9th and 10th pilot in Test AT team next year.
Yeah, they got 2 spots open to applications. They could use a Vigil or Griffin pilot of their own, I think. So you're not going to need much SP to get a slot either. Clearly, those ships are very, very important, or else they wouldn't have been chosen to die so damn quickly in this match. But alas, it wasn't enough. As Party Boy does finally go down. So yeah, congratulations to Platinum Sensitivity, the winners of this evening's tournament. And I think we will send it briefly back to the studio.
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew.
So the plan is that we execute a star formation with perfect 90-degree angles. You need to heat 2 cycles, not 3, 2. Spipple's web, but the Spipple's web. And we need do we need missiles or is that Spipples? And we need thermal drone.
HighSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HighSec. Simply go to highsec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And we are back with Platinum Sensitivity beating Testlands Please Ignore 2-0. Fantastic showing from Test this weekend, though. Really loved seeing those Underman team comps set up. Not going to talk for too much time just because we want to let everyone be free, but have to do the obligatory like, subscribe, comment if you want, keep Twitch chat on fire. But the more subscriptions we get, the closer we get to that hot tub stream. Do we have anybody who wants to say anything? Ready, Satonia, go.
Kestrels are the best Tech 1 frigate, don't at me.
Perfect. Basilisk?
Just the usual. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Of course, thanks again to Test. All these teams that we saw this evening seem to be pretty reliable contenders in these tournaments. This was a pretty exciting tournament from the out. I was excited to see all 8 of these teams. I think they're fairly consistent at showing up. So yeah, obviously these tournaments are not, they're not obligatory. They're not as prestigious as the main tournament. But yeah, teams continue to show up to them. So thank you for that.
And Wingnut.
I am always right. I have always been right. That's about it.
Oh, okay. I see we were just doing meme comments. Okay.
Seeing as he's in Upside Down Land, he is meaning the opposite of everything he just said. But as always, thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you to all of the teams that showed up and dedicated part of their weekend for this. Thank you for the people that were doing streams on other channels. I believe Kira Hazard was doing a Chinese language stream as well. Thank you, General Stargazer, Amy Muff, Biohazard, all the people in the back end that make everything work really good. And I think we're going to peace out, maybe send it over to someone else, maybe not. Who knows? Life's a mystery. Thank you, guys.
Yep, see you next week.